increasingly popular view that Ghana is now beyond salvage. The problems are far too many for us to solve, and new ones are being added every day. Simply put, we are doomed. Well, if you're one of those Ghanaians who thinks so, then I want to tell you a story that I have told here before, but I'm convinced some of you need to hear again. 2 frogs fell into a well. Now, as they struggled to hop out, their brothers, sisters, and neighbors gathered around the mouth of the well. Seeing how far down they had fallen and realizing how impossible it would be for them to leap high enough to clear the edge of the well, they all shouted down to the 2 frogs, telling them not to bother. No use expending all their energy for a lost cause. If they just stayed put, they might live a bit longer at the bottom of the well. One frog stopped trying and settled down to get used to his new and permanent environment, but the other one just kept jumping over and over, trying to leap his way out of the well. The frogs at the top kept shouting down at him, "You're wasting your time. No frog has ever jumped this high before. And stop setting yourself up for disappointment. Also, this is just embarrassing. Stop kidding yourself. You are not getting out." But the frog kept leaping. He would try and try, stumble, get winded, and try again, forcing more power into his rear legs each time, trying to jump a bit farther each time than the last. No matter how many times he felt like he had hit his limit, he would try again, and each time he would jump a little higher than the last. Finally, with one almighty leap, this little frog soared upwards and cleared the lip of the well. He was free. All the other frogs gathered around him, patted him on the back, and congratulated him on achieving the impossible. One of them asked, "So how come you didn't stop when we were all advising you to?" The brave frog laughed and said, "Oh, you were telling me to stop? Well, I have a hearing problem, so I thought you were all cheering me on to keep jumping." I often tell my son this story to teach him how important it is to have a positive attitude and to associate yourself with positive people. But for us adults, there's yet another message hidden beneath the surface. You see, the frog who kept trying to succeed eventually managed to leap out from the well because each time he tried harder than the last. If you picture what it must have taken to actually get this little frog to exert more and more energy, put more and more effort into each leap, even as he got more and more tired and frustrated after every failed attempt, it becomes clear that getting out of the well took no less than a superhuman effort. So the question is, are we all superhuman? Are we all capable of this superhuman feat of endurance required to surmount the imposing, intimidating, insurmountable obstacles in our way? Can we actually keep trying in the face of failure and rejection? Can we actually get up from a fall and not only keep going but push harder? Be honest, you don't find it so easy to say yes to that question, do you? It sounds like a lot of hard work, doesn't it? How about achievement, Arana? You have to kill yourself before you get it. Isn't it better all round for everyone if we simply accept our lives as they are without whatever lofty goal we've been breaking our backs to pursue? Is that not a more realistic approach to life? Who has it in them to keep throwing more and more energy at a dream even as we keep falling short with each attempt? Who has the energy for that? Well, you actually. You have the energy for that. Did you know that the human being's hair will keep growing even after death? Yeah, I read that somewhere. But it speaks to the apt metaphor of infinite possibilities and boundless potential for growth that we all have. Look, there are two ways to approach a problem. Either you believe there's nothing you can do about it, or you try to believe that you are the only one who can do something about it. And that's what the story of these 2 frogs is about. In this world, the only difference between the successes and the failures is that the successes are always trying. So it's time to make that decision that will change your life. Are you going to find yourself a nice, comfortable spot where you can sit quietly and watch the world flow down the river? Or are you going to keep jumping until you make it? My name is Koje Yankson, and each time I leap, I go higher. Good morning, Ghana.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to the AMUs with me, Mapita Sibili. In our first story, Old Fadama, the slum that houses most of Accra's KIA, has no running water and no public toilets for its over 100,000 residents. In the third of our series on KIA, Valentina Roberts, a 14-year-old KIA whose story we've been telling this week, goes into a crowded private bathhouse to show us the sanitation crisis they live with.
Mr. Demon, my poly free, I could get free, I could feel free, I never cut most any mutiny. I got the hammer balloon and I tell you, people, to me, the gun, I'm a damn free balloon. Just a bonnet. Where's that the level of the hammer? Been a mitzvah, why like do it and names about my head. I gave been a hammer, sit them to last you on it. Come find the way back here, Nancy, your baboon. Child of a less move for you, it's not like some kind of such a charity. I remember Penlong at Tatata, and Span of all. I do as you know a child, I knew Punata Fela. Bana, your child will be some pampers more at Tafela, Dragafela, Mava, Madonanya Swakin. Sometimes the lian put through also allow 1 city 70 pesos. I'm a lian care on Sa 1 city. Mashallah, we send each other. Like, I'm not more sure we send this memoir. I do to always say, actually, we see it to come so hard, we say, I believe say, and another time to me, young actually, Masaka Mashamakaya, and didn't make a lemon movie. I could do the Amokojo, or fully a dicky about I'm a Commodore Santa Mantua.
Now, fire officers prevented what could have been one of the biggest fire incidents in Kumasi as a textile shop caught fire at the new Kejatia market. The fire personnel swiftly responded to a distress call to douse the blaze in the market. This incident comes less than 24 hours after another fire raised makeshift structures at the Kofrom market, leaving several squatters homeless on Tuesday dawn. Orinteria has more in the following reports.
The fire, which started from a textile shop at about 6:15 p.m. on Tuesday evening, is the second to be recorded in less than 24 hours after makeshift structures at the Kofrom market also caught fire. Fire officers spent about 40 minutes to douse the fire.
Rushing to this place, we saw smoke all over. So we started on in our sprinklers. You see, we have all the fire installations around. We have hydrants, sprinklers, hoses, everything is around here. So we on our sprinklers, and the sprinklers started dousing the fire. The actual cause of the fire is still under investigation.
City Mayor Osesibe Entry led officials of the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to visit the fire scene.
It was one shop that got fire, one shop that was inflamed. But with the timely intervention of the firefighters, hurriedly they all went there. And when they went there, they saw the place was in smoke. Meanwhile, the shop has been locked. So they forced open the place, and the sprinklers working as well as the hydrant also working. We were able to quench the fire. There wasn't much damage to the facility.
According to Mr. Osesibe Entry, his office and the assembly is concerned with fire incidents in the Kumasi metropolis.
Well, it's a real major concern because even if you lose one life, you've lost a whole. You wouldn't know what that one life you lost was going to do for this country. I want to take this opportunity to advise all the citizenry within the city that in fact we also have a role to play. Electricity is a friend, but at the same time it can create problem for you. But if you are leaving your office, make sure every appliance is turned off. If you are leaving your house, you should make sure everything you turn it off.
Mr. Osesibe Entry says the market will only be open to traders after fire officers have carried further investigations as well as inspecting fire installations at the new market.
Tomorrow the facility will be open around 11 o'clock because we want the fire service personnel to move around and also to allow the electricians to also move around to ascertain. Then the cleaners also to move around, because within the twinkle of an eye, people were rushing in, and therefore we didn't know whether somebody has touched a place he shouldn't have touched. And so they want to use that almost about 4 to 5 hours to do that job, clean the area, certify the area, and allow anybody to do his job.
From Kumasi, for JoyNews, Ohimi Interior reporting.
This latest fire means the Ashanti region has recorded 8 deaths from 127 first quarter of the year. On account of the number of fires, it marks an improvement over 226 fires recorded over the same period last year. Despite the reduction in incidents, there have been more casualties this year. So what can be done to address the disturbing situation? Nanayao Jima reports on some fire incidents in the region and measures to control them.
The latest fire outbreak happened on Tuesday dawn at a slum in Krofrom in Kumasi, where about 40 wooden shacks were destroyed. Barely a week ago, a 17-year-old driver's mate died after fire ravaged part of the Asafu BB slum near Kokobot building. A fortnight ago, 40 people were displaced when a compound house at Aloga Junction was gutted by fire. In April, 10 offices in the administration block of the Mampong College of Education were destroyed by fire. There was an intensified call for a fire station at the Amansia South District after an inferno killed a family of 4 at Manso Aponapon. Another fire at the footwear section of the Kumasi Central Market destroyed property worth thousands of Ghana cedis. In March, a 9-year-old boy was killed in an inferno after his mother's boyfriend set their 4-room apartment ablaze. In the same month, about 50 residents of a home at Otafo were displaced after fire gutted their 7-bedroom house. Earlier in the year, fire ravaged a story building at Abuabu Station near the Kumasi Central Market. On the same day, another fire gutted part of a market sited behind the Republic Hall of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where about 11 stores were affected. A major inferno in January swept through part of the Dagomba line, where hundreds of wooden shacks were destroyed. Fire officers attributed the incident to poor fire safety precaution in homes and markets. Ashanti Region Public Relations Officer DO3 Desmond Aka explains poor wiring and leakage of gas are leading causes of domestic and market fires.
So the problem here is if the citizenry are going to be responsible enough to ensure that the gas leakages are stopped, their electrical wiring faults are rectified by competent electricians. They have properly installed earth wires, lightning arresters. They have done the rewiring that we've been talking about. They have actually gone the extra mile to actually keep their homes and their premises in very good conditions. That is, the housekeeping has actually come to standard.
DO3 Aka says the service is on a sensitization drive to help curtail such fire incidents. He, however, recommended the evacuation of slum dwellers.
We have been in touch with the leadership of the slum. We've also written to the city authorities to help us get rid of these slums, because once these slums continue to remain, if you go there, you look at the way they put up their makeshift structures, it is appalling. So that if there is a fire in one particular structure, it easily spreads and it destroys a lot more property than usual. So if the city authority can come together and then find a suitable place and then move them from such places and then ensure that they give them a decent accommodation, I mean, these slum fires will be a thing of the past. But notwithstanding, we have been in touch with the leadership, with the people in the slum communities. We are in talk with them. We are educating them as to how best they could safely use candles, mosquito coils, and naked light, and then also do away with illegal wiring connection.
For JoyNews, Nane Ojima reporting.
Away from that, Parliament's Select Committee on Local Government and Rural Development is unhappy about the delay in the completion of various projects being funded by the District Assembly Common Fund. Committee Chairman Emmanuel Kwesi Jemfi says, according to a briefing by the Oti Regional Minister Joseph Makabu, the delay in the release of funds and unavailability of quality construction materials in the region impede progress of projects. Correspondent Peter Senu joined a tour of selected projects in the Oti region and now reports.
On local government and rural development. The team is here to have site inspection of some of the ongoing projects. We are very much aware that Oti region is one of the 6 newly created districts, regions, which we are very much aware of the infrastructural deficit and the need for government to support these new regions. The approval of the money for the construction of most of the projects were done by Parliament. And as committee which has the oversight over local governance, we deem it necessary to travel across the country to see some of the projects that are being implemented. This morning we are done by the regional capital for Oti region. And this is the office complex being constructed for the Regional Coordinating Council. If you look at it, it's a very beautiful structure, even though it's not completed. But we've been told, and as through the briefing by the regional minister and the consultant, the project is behind schedule, about 180 days. 180 days is about
6 months.
Almost 6 months, of which we are not impressed at all, because we went to where they are lodging now as a temporary house. Is something that we need this project quickly. So he's spoken to the contractor, he's spoken to the consultant. We have been briefed about the causes of the delay, and as a committee we have to get our report and also see how best we can resolve some of the challenges that are causing the delay. The committee is here to collaborate with the region and also the municipal district assemblies to see how best you bring development to the doorstep of everybody.
Now, the new Patriotic Party's Kobina Ejapong will enjoy his full benefits as a former General Secretary of the party. This is after the National Executive Committee unanimously agreed to reinstate his membership following the indefinite suspension slapped on him some 6 years ago. Now, some NEC members who argued in favor of the former General Secretary insisted he has remained loyal to the party in spite of the suspension. That's not all. It was also established that whilst serving his suspension, Mr. Ejapong contributed in diverse ways, including financial support in building the party at the constituency and regional. Now, National Chairman of the governing NPP has been speaking exclusively to my colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
Last year, before we went for elections, Kobina wrote that he wanted the suspension to be reconsidered because, according to him, he believes that with the suspension on, and it means as a General Secretary, then at that time that
was in 2015,
2014, was quite some privileges, some rights attached to past general secretaries. He couldn't attend NEC meeting, National Council meeting, and others. And he is a very loyal party member, irrespective of what had taken place, for which he believed he's had enough punishment for, and for that reason, the suspension must be lifted with regards to his rights and privileges. And this, yesterday, after a long discussion and consideration of the matter, it was unanimously decided that the suspension should be lifted, particularly in regards to his rights and privileges as a former general secretary of the party. That's what took place.
So he's going to enjoy all the full benefits of a former general secretary in the party?
Definitely.
I see. But were people opposed to his lifting of the suspension?
I wouldn't like to go into that. I've just told you that it was unanimously agreed that that's what should happen.
But were there
definitely
key factors for consideration as far as this lifting of the suspension is concerned?
Definitely. I mean, you wouldn't take a decision in vacuum. A lot of other factors were taken into consideration.
Like what?
For example, it's been since his suspension, even, and more particularly before the 2020 election, December elections, he's been going around campaigning for the party. He's been seeing the company, particularly of the first gentleman of the land, the president, and from all indications, he's been funding or helped.
And that's it for the AM News with me, Mapito CBD. For more news, you can go to myjoyonline.com.
Oh, hi there. Very good morning to you. Thank you for staying with us and joining us for the news review segment of the show. And we dig into the papers this morning. I have the Republic Press, Daily Statesman, Daily Dispatch newspaper, The Finder, and the Daily Graphic. What do you have, Mamavi?
I'll do the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide. If there's time, I'll add some more papers to my papers. All right, so I think I'll start with the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Here's what's on the front page of the Times today. Operation Halt update. Government won't stop excavator destruction as it fights to protect water bodies and forests. Alleged Sekwa killing 3 policemen remanded again. Government present 20,000 wheelchairs to PWDs. It's also another story in the paper today. No beach gathering, streets carnival to mark Edo Fittle. So that's the announcements coming from the Regional Coordinating Council, the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council. On page 3, updates on some crime-related stories, apart from the 3 policemen who have been remanded again by the Sunyani Court B. There's also a story in the Upper West region where the police command on Saturday seized 350 parcels of compressed dry leaves suspected to be marijuana at Carpenter along the Bamboy-Bole Highway in the Savannah region. Details of that here. And there's a story of a businesswoman who is in court for allegedly defrauding 51 victims of 999,600 Ghana cedis. She promised them, according to the story, she had promised allegedly to get them visas to America. And then also in another twist, she's accused of collecting some 46,000 Ghana cedis to secure 2 auction cars from the American embassy for the complainant, but failed to deliver the cars. If you read the story, it says that all 51 Ghanaian passports have been returned, but not the cash of $178,500 US. The police killed a suspected robber and arrested 3 suspects on the Obuase Anyankwanta Road in the Ashanti region. Jacobo District's police commander, who confirmed the incident, said at about 2 a.m. Tuesday, the police engaged the suspect in a shootout, resulting in the death of the robber. All right, let's do the center spread of the paper now. This issue about the Greater Accra Regional Coordinating Council cautioning against large gatherings at beaches or street carnivals during the Eid al-Fitr prayer and celebrations in the wake of the spread of the coronavirus disease is in the center spread of the paper. Also, there is an update on the Pokwasi interchange, assessed now that 98% complete, and the project to be inaugurated in July this year. Keeps changing, doesn't it? On the back page of the Ghanaian Times, Hearts vow to break Bechem United invincibility. I was so afraid for Kim Faisal the last time. Now this one. The only issue is that we haven't had such a good away form. So, you know, you can draw your own conclusions on this, but there are quite a number of games before this week ends. That's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Well, let's take a look at the Daily Graphic newspaper now. Low rains imminent, but June, July could see downpours. That's according to the Meteorological Agency, and Mrs. Francisca Mate, the Deputy Director's photo in there. Most places in the southern part of the country likely to experience prolonged dry weather for the rest of the year, the GMET, or the Ghana Meteo Agency, has said. But they say that there could be heavy, rains would actually be below average for June, July, and August. And that is what the Meteorological Service has been telling us, the agency. But they also say that it could be heavy in June and July, and that to help mitigate any risk, the Deputy Director stressed the need for the government to establish and operationalize an integrated monitoring and early warning system for flood risks. We often sit on our buttocks and the rains come like we expect them to. To be fair, though, of course, we know that the rain patterns have not been very consistent in recent years on the back of climate change, global warming, and all of that. The warning is also there that in the face of a long dry spell, risk in especially areas around the middle belt of the country, the Deputy Director said government must step up education and sensitization of the people on the likelihood of bush fires. So let's all stay alert, and even as the rains come, let's not fall victim. Supplement on Eid al-Fitr inside. Of course, we are very much in the midst of it today and tomorrow, as our Muslim brothers and sisters actually end the month of Ramadan. And interestingly, there's a story on page 12 of that supplement in today's Daily Graphic that talks about let Ramadan inspire peaceful coexistence. And the National Chief Imam Sheikh Osman Nuhu Sharubutu has called on Muslims in the country to become ambassadors of the virtues that underpin the essence of Ramadan to encourage peaceful coexistence in their communities. And so that's the highlight there. I found this to be interesting. It's on page 5, the international page, and it's all about the Kazungula Bridge. Why am I excited about it? Botswana and Zambia have inaugurated a road and rail bridge linking the two countries, marking the completion of a multi-million-dollar project aimed at easing congestion at border crossings and boosting trade. Now, it stretches for 923 meters. It's one of those, marvels of modern engineering, if you like. You can read more about it in the Daily Graphic newspaper. Let's check out some more news. And NPP lifts suspension on Kwabena Japong. It's been some 6 odd years. I heard their national chairman, Freddie Blay, speaking yesterday about how patient Kwabena had been, how he had supported the party financially, and how he had remained, consistent in his ties with the party. And for that reason, the NEC of the party had decided to revoke that decision that they had earlier adopted. In other stories, Ghana face Nigeria in tough qualifier when it comes to the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. Nigeria, the title holders, they'll be locking horns with Ghana. And Buffon is set to leave Juventus. He puts retirement on hold. I'm talking about Gianluigi Buffon. On the back page of the paper, one disturbing matter. Kajeji, SHS cries for infrastructure. And if you take a look at the back page of the Daily Graphic and you see the structure under which students are studying, you would know why, well, some things need fixing indeed. Wamanfo Apenkro gets police station. It's a step in the right direction, but here we are as a country and so many communities don't even have security posts. So we even celebrate when a security post comes into one of these places. Well, we can continue to do more. That's it for the Daily Graphic newspaper.
Let's do the Accra Times newspaper. On the front page says no running mate slot for McDan after failing to deliver parliamentary seats to the NPP. Parliamentary committee blasts government for awarding project contracts without recourse to MMDAs. And then Garu DCE weeps over capping of the common fund. The picture that comes with it, though, is not that of a weeping man. Salaga South MP donates, gives 15 motorbikes towards the NDC restructuring process. These are the headlines on the front page of the paper. A bit of this one about the parliamentary committee. That's the Local Government and Rural Development Committee of Parliament has called on central government to stop the culture in which contracts on projects meant for metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies are awarded without recourse to beneficiary assemblies. And according to the committee, the practice which had existed for decades has over the years undermined the authority of MMDAs to effectively involve themselves in the execution of the projects from project design, procurement, as well as given building permits and supervision. So I guess that's it for the Accra Times newspaper.
Let's check out the Finder newspaper now, find out what they have found. And it says Church of Pentecost builds and hands over 3.2 million Ghana cedi prison infrastructure to government. I had to highlight this because I think if many more institutions were to do that and contribute, government, Abain, would be able to do much more. You often see people, oh, water, Abain, this, Abain. True, some of that infrastructure, it is the state that will bring it. But if we all chipped in as corporate bodies and even individuals, there are some high-value individuals in the country. Some things they can take up and do, but oftentimes we don't see them.
Let me share a post on the back of what the Church of Pentecost did. Somebody said, give the country to the Church of Pentecost. You see what they can do in 12 months. They would just transform the entire country.
I see. Okay, that's an interesting one. And we see them doing it here already. And so a multi-purpose prison facility funded and constructed by the Church of Pentecost at Ejura in the Ashanti region has been commissioned and handed over to the Ghana Prison Service. And the facility, described as one of a kind in the country, was constructed at the cost of 3.2 million Ghana cedis. The fully furnished 3 dormitory blocks with the capacity to accommodate 300 inmates also comprises an administration block, chapel, which also serves as a classroom, football pitch, baptistry, modern washrooms. I mean, a whole lot. It is one of those, well, you can call it state of the art. And kudos to the Pentecost Church for doing that. Nipaya dia osayeyi. Government World Bank presents 20,000 wheelchairs to PWDs. Were you going to chip in something else?
Oh, just the Church of Pentecost, but you know, I was just going to say that they take the lead in a lot of things, and it's when COVID came, they were outstanding.
Yes. I think they offered a facility.
Not only with their facility, but remember how well they broke the issues of COVID and the vaccines, you know, for their following. And I guess for many Ghanaians as well, you know, so they take the lead, and I like it very much that they do what they've done.
Great stuff.
With the prison, maybe in the course of the program we can share pictures of it. It's just like world-class standard. And if you're a prisoner and you're offered a facility like that, oh my God, you're certainly going to reform.
So these are going to be DB prisoners. Okay. Well, all prison be prison.
Of course.
Logistics of illegal miners rendered immobile. That's on page 2. That's a matter we're going to be looking at today. You don't want to miss that discussion. But the latest is that the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources has denied accusations leveled against Operation Halt 2 for burning equipment seized in the course of the military operation. He stressed government's determination to tackle the menace no matter the price, saying, and I quote him here, "We are either fighting this menace or not. We're either fighting it or not. The defense minister has also said that, listen, we're going to do this and we're going to burn the excavators, among other things. So Operation Halt 2 in motion, and Operation Vanguard, basically, we're saying goodbye to it. In other stories, policemen in court over 100,000 Ghana City police recruitment scam. Sergeant Kennedy Asumeni, accused of collecting 100,000 Ghana cedis from 44 persons under the pretext of enlisting them into the Ghana Police Service, has appeared before an Accra Circuit Court. That is on page 4. On page 5, Ghana to receive 300,000 Sputnik vaccines on May 5. Definitely, May 15, I beg your pardon, May 15. But definitely, I would be looking forward to getting my second jab of AstraZeneca as quickly as possible, because if I have to go Sputnik, it means I have to start all over again. But Mama V, I'll wrap on this story. Armed police officers besiege City FM to arrest a journalist, and that has to do with a team of about 7 heavily armed police officers who besieged the premises of City FM and City yesterday afternoon in an attempt to arrest a journalist. Zoe Abubeidu, a broadcast journalist with City FM and City TV, had been targeted in the raid after the police accused her of receiving some video files from her colleague Caleb Kuda. And it all has to do with the day of, well, maybe not the day of Fix It, the demonstration, but the whole bit about his going to the premises of national security and certain photos that were taken and supposedly shared with Zoe, and he was picked up. Zoe was also picked up. As of the time I was listening, Zoe had been allowed to leave, but he was still in the custody.
Caleb was also finally let.
But finally, yes, that happened. So
it's just that this whole story brings back, yesterday we were talking about the way national security personnel carry themselves, and so they give reason and course really for other people to also emulate, because we have an example of a group of people who apparently carry themselves as national security officers when they're indeed not, and they're in court. That case, they're trying to battle it. I was just thinking again yesterday when this whole thing not unfolding, I guess after everything went down, that's when we got to know. I was thinking about the rule of law, and I've heard leaders of our country say many times on huge platforms, rule of law, rule of law, rule of law. What is rule of law if a group of people, an institution, if you like, cannot also follow the rules? If we say it is the law that regulates what we do, everybody must be subjected to those rules. And again, I mean, it's also scary in a sense that if you're not following any sort of rule, then it means that as we sit here in our studio, we can have a group of people also storm this place.
But we've seen it before.
And just say, but that's the scary thing.
We've seen them storm. I just don't want to mention that another media facility was stormed.
So I want to say that we can have a group of people storm when they are actually not from national security, just like we've witnessed in this alleged case that is in court. We can have people carry themselves like that because the perception is that that's what they do. I mean, when they come, they don't go through the normal procedure. They don't explain to you why they are arresting you, why they need you. I mean, they just come in like that. And that's very scary if we continue to do this. And it's sad that we spent a lot of money with the Ayawaso West Wagon Commission, with very brilliant people sitting on that commission with the reports, and we still have not corrected some of the things with national security.
We issued a white paper, remember?
This shouldn't happen. Yeah, of course.
We issued a white paper which basically said that
than the white paper.
No, but the white paper was basically in response to what the commission had said, and it basically did not, accept, well, maybe not accept, but it did not apply many of the recommendations. You remember, Double? You remember what was said in the report and what eventually happened? But for me, I think my takeaway from this is, of course, very unpleasant situation. Caleb is someone I know, not someone who is very close to me, but someone I know all the same, someone I've interacted with in the media fraternity. But it also points to something, Mama V, something we all should be aware of. You should know, I feel, where to do what. It's also important. In certain locations, which are security zones, you should know that some things are not very acceptable. I feel things could have been done differently, especially when he was spotted and a few things that happened. But I feel also that we should all beware. In certain zones, you can't do certain things. And that is something that is applicable to everybody. It doesn't matter whether you're a media person or whoever. Certain things.
I worry you. The reason I don't want to mix the two issues, I really get you. That's one aspect of it. But my worry is, even if you did the wrong thing,
yes,
is this how you should be treated as a citizen of Ghana, especially when we have rules governing what we do? And we say boldly, loudly, that there is rule of law in Ghana. We go according to a set of rule of law. You can be a democracy and not practice democracy. You like.
No, that's very easy. I was reading something recently about naming. It's very easy to say we are democratic because we hold elections and we do this, but the reality of the situation could be very different.
Yeah, and when we compare military regimes, things that have happened in the past. Remember recently there was the Riakoto, the memorial lectures.
Yes.
We talk about during the Nkrumah era where there was a prevention detective law, detention law, where you could be arrested for a number of years and not be tried. When we think about those days and we say they're dark, an episode like what happened yesterday, for me, in Ghana today is also very dark, because we shouldn't be doing this, especially when we've had a commission sit down to analyze some of the things that happened with the Ayawaso West Wagon, and they talked about how the national security, we were all here. It was broadcast live on television, on radio, and we all heard how the accounts went. We thought that there will be proper restructuring. Remember yesterday, you also mentioned about the national security minister and a certain position. Remember what I said?
No,
it must be reflected.
It's a Freemason position.
Yeah, but I'm saying that I would appreciate a thing like that if it is reflected in the institution that he leads. But not this, we're storming. Charlie, this is May, this is 2021, and we're still just storming. My point is, anybody could storm this place this morning in the name of, they are holding guns.
Like I'm saying, it could have been done very differently.
For me,
you could,
irrespective of what may have gone down in terms of taking photographs in the place where you don't, I don't want to think about that. I'm thinking about the response to the act, especially when we are in a democratic and we say there is rule of law in Ghana. That shouldn't have happened.
And I think, just to chip in, we have bedeviled, demonized some of what Sam Jonah said in recent times. You see, it's neither here nor there, but I feel as a people, we really should prioritize the freedoms we have, the freedoms guaranteed by the 1992 Constitution, and what Mama V has been saying about maybe rolling back the script and going back so many years. Look, I wouldn't ordinarily have shared this, but yesterday I went for an interview. Coming back to our premises, I decided to call a certain lawyer, elderly man. I don't want to mention certain things so he wouldn't be known, but in recent times he passed certain comments, and I just called him to check on him. The sort of things he told me about things that have been done, and a whole lot of slew of things that have followed. I'm being very cautious in order not to say certain things, but I think, look, we should be free to express our thoughts. We should be free, of course, saying it, knowing how to say it, and not flouting any rules, and not, unfairly chastising anybody. But we should be free to express ourselves, especially as media people, and not be wondering about, if you go and chastise Asemesi, what would happen to you afterwards, and whether your boss would get a call. It's something. But anyway.
You're done?
We move.
Yeah.
No, you are done with that paper. I'm now getting into the Republic Press.
I think it was a paper that brought the city story out, maybe in the Finder.
So the Finder.
Yeah.
I thought you had started with the...
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I haven't done the Daily Guide. So let's go into the Daily Guide newspaper. On the front page, mayhem at Amanase, 4 fetish priests arrested amidst gunshot. Another kind of bizarre, like the story is all over. And they've got scenes from that incident in the paper. There's a boy who we're told was almost depending on the age, maybe not kidnapped but abducted. NPP bites stubborn members with new law. They don't give details of this. They want it adopted and then they can begin to share with us. But they said the draft code of conduct and guidelines would soon be made public after same has been ratified by the party's National Council. And this was contained in a press release signed by the General Secretary of the party, John Buedu. So the law will ensure proper behavior of its teaming members to help improve party unity and boost its chance of retaining power in 2024. Soldier denies robbery story, also another story in the paper today. That's on page 6. If you go to page 9, some entertainment-related stories. No lady rejected Kwame Eugene after becoming famous and rich. It comes with a question mark. But essentially, Kwame Eugene was speaking in an interview where he said, when he wasn't a musician and he wasn't famous, ladies turned him down, if you like, because he was poor. But now, oh my God, as he's so famous right now, the ladies in one of
they're falling all over themselves. Eh?
Yes, but in one of the, the proposals, if you like, one lady offered to buy him a Mercedes-Benz if only he would add her to himself. And then he said no. He said no. He turned that down.
But what kind of offer is that? I'll get you a Mercedes-Benz. Wasn't it recently he got a Range Rover, I think, an Evoque?
Yeah.
On the back of his being a brand ambassador for that energy drink.
Oh, okay.
What's it called even? I think it's the Adonko group. So I really don't know.
All right. So this is Kwame Eugene talking about, but this is a very familiar thing. A lot of famous people will tell you this. Sometimes, even when you say, I love you, people don't believe because you're thinking, he couldn't be telling the truth. And then I think there was one more story in the News One pull-out that I wanted to share, but maybe let's leave it here with the Daily Guide newspaper. There are plenty of other stories in it, by the way.
All right, so let's look at Republic Press. Some interesting stories in there. Government blows $2.1 billion COVID cash, report alleges. So let's take a brief look at that. A corruption risk assessment report by the Community Development Alliance, CDA Ghana, and the Commonwealth Foundation has cited the Akufo-Addo-led government for spending over $2.1 billion of COVID-19 money on corrupt deals. The report, titled Strengthening COVID-19 Accountability Mechanisms, and cited by Star FM, questions the number of deals by Ghana's government when the nation recorded its first 2 cases of coronavirus in March 2020. It goes on to talk about the assessment and utilization of the sources of money, that is the money from sources such as the World Bank, the IMF, the Ghana Stabilization Fund, Contingency Fund, and more. You can check out more details from there. China census data shows slowest population growth in decades. Well, what sort of news is that for the world, good or bad? But at least China's government, I think, would be grateful. That would be fewer mouths to deal with. Ghana slides to 95th in 2021 World Happiness Ranking. And some countries, by the way, have ministers specifically for happiness of the people. I forget, but I think the United Arab Emirates is one of those countries. There are quite a number of them. And I think Nigeria just might have something similar. But Ghana has been ranked 95th in the just released 2021 World Happiness Report. This indicates a drop by 30 places from Ghana's 65th position last year, 2020. Ghana trails Mauritius at the 50th position, Libya in 80th, Ivory Coast at 85th. I'm surprised at these two. Republic of Congo at 83rd and Cameroon at the 91st for some reasons. Yes, I am surprised. Neighboring Nigeria has also witnessed a significant drop on the ranking list following a fall by 57 places to rank 116th. They ranked 59th in the 2020 report. And finally, a former colleague, Abdul Karim Ibrahim, well, he's also made it on page 13 of Republic Press newspaper with his piece, Fix the Country. Governance is not a bride. We refuse to be in-laws to the political class. If you grab a copy of that paper, you can read it. It's by Abdul Karim Ibrahim. Well, that's it for this paper.
All right, let's spend the rest of the minutes that we have exploring what's on myjoyonline.com.
Could I do this? Is Morris Babyface your friend?
No.
Okay. He recounts, but let me be raw. That's how the paper puts it. Sleeping with 4 women in a day and breaking his fast with sex.
Okay. I mean, he used to be Morris Babyface. I don't know how many people will remember him today.
Morris Babyface. Okay. Well, that's for those who do know him. Interesting. Okay. All right.
Well, is this surprising?
So when you say you're recounting sleeping with 4 women in a day and breaking your fast with sex.
Yeah, that's to say, I guess that's to say waking up even before breakfast. But he's telling us there are plenty others who do more than 4 who won't say it publicly.
Know any?
I know myjoyonline.com. So let's see myjoyonline.com just before we make way for sports. Let's check out what's making headlines. So that's the story, what we've been sharing. City FM journalist Caleb Kuda allegedly picked up by national security operatives. You can read this account on myjoyonline.com. By close of day yesterday, we were told that he had been released. There was also Zoe Abu Baidu who was picked up and then also later released. It's just the manner in which the national security operatives did this that scares all of us. Was I going to say killing us or scaring us? Okay, there are other stories on myjoyonline.com.
Well, if you had said skilling, then it would be scaring and killing at the same time.
So Ghana drops, okay, that's the story that Ben mentioned, the 95th in 2021 World Happiness Ranking. Fire guards new KJT market, 1 feared dead, several others injured after accident at Legon underpass. This was also one of those very gory. Well, nobody died, by the way, just the manner in which the accident occurred. And if you listen to the accounts of people, it seemed like a very popular accident spot because there was an incident that happened about 3 days ago, same place. This is Kwabena Japan, welcome back to the MPP after 6 years suspension. And then military fights illegal miners in Operation Halt. So this is a piece that I put together. You can check out in pictures and in video also how the military has been fighting Galamsey, particularly on water bodies. They've been to Pra and Offenso so far. Major Mahama trial, there's no pressure on police to investigate the case. That's a piece of revelation you might want to read on myjoyonline.com. We'll leave the rest to you so you can explore. Our time is up. We have to make way for sports. There's Muftal, Nabila, and I have to add Abdullahi. He's got plenty of the sports update. Manchester City are champions because Manchester United, well, they didn't have to play. Hello. Just by losing, they picked the cup.
So I believe by showing your true colors now, you make it very clear that you never were a real red. You never were a fan. And it is good to know on live television where all Manchester United fans can see that your heart never really was with us.
Does it even matter? All I'm saying is, I mean, Manchester City.
From Manchester to Leeds to, and even your heart to Karela. Oh, no. You know what?
English Premier League champions.
Let's stay faithful to the sports. And Muftal, actually, he will stay faithful. That's up next.
Good morning, I am Muftal Nabila Ablai. Welcome to AM Sports on the AM show. On April 29, we brought you a story that had to do with the decision of the Players Union of Rugby to petition the board to force Herbert Mensah to step down as president, CEO and board chairman of the Rugby Union. That has led to his indefinite suspension. The president of the country, Nana Akufo-Addo, has also redeemed a promise made to the Black Satellites of Ghana. Each player received $5,000 yesterday. And Manchester City joined Leicester and Liverpool as one of the clubs that have had to sit at home, watch a Premier League match, and end up jubilating as champions of the competition. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullahi, and this is AM Sports. First, let's start with the decision of the president of the country, Nana Akufo-Addo, to fulfill a promise made to the satellites for winning the 2021 African Cup of Nations in Mauritania. The president promised the team when they paid him a visit to present the trophy in March this year after winning it. The president redeemed a promise made to the players for winning the Under-20 African Cup of Nations in Mauritania earlier this year. The national U20 team was promised $10,000 by the president of the country when they presented the trophy won at the tournament to him in March this year. A financial reward was made to the team to be split into two, of which $5,000 was to be set aside as an investment plan for the players over a 10-year period, while the remaining $10,000 was to be given to the players in cash. The president redeemed his promise through Youth and Sports Minister Mustafa Yusuf, who presented the money in its cedi equivalent to the president of the Ghana Football Association, Ket Okreku, and a chairman of the U20 Management Committee, Dr. Randy Abe, on Tuesday. The president personally donated an additional amount of $5,000 each to the skipper of the team, Daniel Afriye Banier, for leading the team, Abdul Fattah Isaku for being adjudged the best player of the tournament, and Danlad Ibrahim for being the best goalkeeper of the competition. Head coach Abdul Karim Zito was also promised $5,000. The pledges made to the players and the coach have all been honored. The Satellites defeated the Hippos of Uganda 2-0 to win the competition. Now let's do rugby news. The board of the Ghana Rugby Football Union has suspended its chairman and chief executive officer, Herbert Mensah, indefinitely. The board arrived at the decision to suspend the former CEO of Asante Kotoko after a meeting on Tuesday and named Vice President James Nunu as acting president. In a statement that was made available to Joy Sports, the board described the decision as unfortunate and an unviable task. They said they will convene a special general assembly on June 8 to remove him from office. That was what sources told Joy Sports. On April 22, Joy Sports reported a 9-point petition was filed before the board enumerating a plethora of allegations ranging from unilateralism, conflict of interest to physical abuse of players, and demanded that Mr. Mensah be forced to step down as leader of the union within 72 hours. The allegations were echoed by the Greater Accra and Western Region Rugby Union in separate letters to the board on April 29 and 30 respectively. Herbert Mensah was asked by the board to respond to the allegations, but sources say he never replied to the board's request, leading to their decision to suspend him indefinitely. Acting chairman James Nunu said rugby is our love and passion, and rugby must emerge as the winner from this unfortunate moment in the history of Ghana rugby when he was asked to stand in. Rugby Union has achieved memorably under the leadership of Mr. Mensah, and a solid platform has been laid to build on that foundation, and that they thank him very much for his contribution. Now let's do Ghana Premier League football, because March the 24th is upon us. One club that has had a torrid season is Legon Cities. The team has struggled since the season commenced. Assistant coach of the club, Mohamed Wahid, he says that their game against Liberty Professionals is a must-win match.
As you see, during our last match, we see we attack, we defend, we attack, we defend. And the most we see that mostly that's the easiest way to counter your opponent. If you can protect your own goal post and make 2 or 3 chances, at least you can bury one and keep the result clean sheet.
How confident are you that this Liberty side is a team we can beat?
Yeah, I'm confident in my players, not them. I'm confident in my players. I'm always concentrating on my boys, and upon the preparation that we made the whole of last week and this week, it will be good for us to at least win the match. It's better.
Does it appear that there is pressure on us to win after a difficult start to the second round?
Every team, if you are under relegation, you have to be under pressure. Coming up to is going to be something that's difficult. But with this kind of good team that we have now, the preparation of train will prepare towards this week. At least we have to get to the
Apart from Legon City's playing Liberty Professionals, let's take a look at the rest of the fixtures for match day 24 in the Ghana Premier League. And Brekum Chelsea, they will play Ashanti Gold. Dreams FC will play Kim Faisal, who are also languishing at the foot of the league table. And we have Elmina Sharks, they will come up against Kerala United. Midiama SC, who are second on the league table, will play Wafa. Legon Cities against Liberty Professionals. Bechim United will host Accra House of Oak. 11 Wonders will play Inter Allies. And on Thursday, Asante Kotoko, who are current leaders of the Premier League, will play Ebisua Dwarfs, whilst Great Olympics will host Ediana Stars. Now we'll take a look at how the players are positioned on the league table. And Kumasi Asante Kotoko, they sit at the top of that league table with 41 points, followed by Midiama SC. Midiama SC have got 40 points, whilst Great Olympics have also got 40 points. From Ghana Premier League, let's go to England and bring you the highlights of the match involving Manchester United and Leicester City. And Manchester United sat at home and lost by 2-1 to Leicester.
A crazy schedule. How will this
By virtue of Manchester United's defeat to Leicester City, we apologize for the hitches that the footage had. We'll be sharing that with you in our subsequent bulletins. But by virtue of the defeat Manchester United had against Leicester City, Manchester City became champions. And their coach has been praising his players for the incredible performances they've put up this season. And we have earlier brought you stories about how the GFA wants to calm the Black Stars in Europe. Head coach of the team, CK Akono, will be naming the squad for those friendly matches. It's unclear which teams they want to play in Europe, but per our sources, they want to play either Nigeria or Cote d'Ivoire when they travel to Germany. We understand the budget they presented to the ministry is close to $500,000. We'll be sharing details with you in our subsequent bulletins. I am Muftau Nabila Ablai, and this has been AM Sports on AM Show. We've got more stories to share with you on myjoyonline.com/sports.
Thank you for staying with us. On Wednesdays, we bring you AM Business, giving you a fair idea of what exactly is happening on the business front. Well, today, we speak of the emergence of a wholly Ghanaian-owned cement factory, Jata Cement, which has sent hope to the country's building industry as the race to bridge the housing gap intensifies. Trade and Industry Minister Alan Chamateng has called on Ghanaians to patronize the said cement so as to break the monopoly in the cement market and give room for cheap building materials. Today on AM Business, Charles Aite shares highlights of the Trade Minister's visit to Jata Cement as he explores challenges bedeviling Ghana's cement value chain.
Whenever the price of cement rises, three reasons are best fetched: the fluctuating dollar, import imbalances, and high demand. Let's talk about the high demand, because even as the market for cement expands, players in the industry are minimally Ghanaian. Besides, a chunk of the basic raw materials that make up the production of cement are imported. With the coronavirus shutting borders, the demand for cement has spiraled, with prices going beyond the roof. In a scramble for immediate future solutions, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Chamateng, visited Jata Cement, owned by Ibrahim Mahama.
You know, this industry is dominated by global foreign companies. And that's the way it is globally, all over the world. So this is the first investment in the cement industry which is wholly Ghanaian owned. And I think that alone is very significant. Yes, as a government, we very much understand and appreciate the importance of foreign investment capital. But there's no evidence of any country anywhere in the world that has been able to achieve superlative growth without supporting their own indigenous entrepreneurs. And that is why I think that this particular investment is something that should pave the way for investments in industries that otherwise have been dominated only by foreign companies.
Jata Cement is among the new and emerging plants in the industry, which starts with bargain-only plants such as Dangote Cement, which has a grinding plant in Takoradi, and others under the One District, One Factory initiative.
Now I step here, it's almost like a food packaging factory. No evidence of dust, nothing. And now I understand that this is indeed an eco-friendly cement plant. And so it shows you that it's not just the fact that this is an indigenous entrepreneur doing this, but that he's taking the trouble to invest in the state-of-the-art technology, which also is important for us as a developing country. But it goes beyond these 2 points. This is going to create high-skilled jobs for Ghanaians, high-skilled jobs. And, you know, every year 300,000 young people graduate from our tertiary institutions. If you add the number of people who are graduating from second cycle institutions, nobody should tell you that our number one development challenge is to identify job opportunities for our teeming youth. And that's why I'm happy that this is going to also contribute to the potential for job creation. But again, you also realize that even though this is a high-tech, state-of-the-art company, I only see 3 foreign, I would say, management experts here. The rest, you've all been introduced to us. It means that the top management team, it's all Ghanaian. Our friend from Morocco, I realized that he now wants to stay in Ghana. He now wants to stay in Ghana. But the beauty is that it's not just Ghanaian owned, it's also wholly managed by Ghanaians. Again, it goes beyond that. The level of investment is very significant. I think when it's completed, you are talking about an investment of over $100 million US when all the phases of the project is completed. And you can imagine that this is not chicken feed. And just the courage to get into this level of investment, I think, is worth commending.
In fulfillment of policy direction, Jata Cement Limited applied and obtained a 1-year permit to import 1.2 million metric tons of bulk cement for rebargain in February 2018. This permit could not be utilized due to the technical and constructional challenges that expired at the end of February 2019.
To be quality, and that describes us. Go down. And then the other leg of it, which is the eco-friendliness nature of the whole thing, is about the fact that we also think about the environment and then safety. And that is why, as you toured around, you saw that this, even though it's a cement factory, but if somebody are not told, or if you're not here yourself, you will mistake it to be maybe a food cannery in our plant. Now, the fact is that a lot of investment has gone in this, and it also will tell you that this will be the only and wholly and solely owned Ghanaian company, run also almost by wholly Ghanaian management, and this is the first of its kind in this country. And so our slogan or mantra has been that we are building for generations. Very soon we'll double this capacity, and that is only for the bag segment. If we add selling directly to project side, the capacity in the next few years will be 3 million tons. And by far, our vision is to make sure that we become number one in this country in the next few years. And then we are going to work seriously towards that, and then also solicit the support of government. And for us, we are very, very delighted to even have the minister visiting us, even though we have not started the operation fully.
Meanwhile, the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers has indicated that the high cost of cement is as a result of the high cost of production, unfair trade practices, low utilization rates of the cement products, and unfair competition. The firm believes that the pressure caused by COVID-19 is also a major concern. Dr. George Dawson Amwa is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers.
I use this medium to appeal. We've done this several to Ghana Standard Authority, which the Minister for Trade and Industry, Honorable Alan Chemate, has even empowered us to have a memorandum of understanding with Ghana Standard Authority. And the reason is simple. Check us. Check our standard. Impose penalties where one defaults. Come to us to collaborate. What equipment do you need? What support do you need? Because we want to be proud of a product from Ghana. It's obvious that quality can be compromised. And it's not something that you cannot see it earlier on, but you see it later. And the earlier you see it earlier, the consequences will be disastrous. So there should be collaboration. Ghana Standard Authority must fight.
The commencement of production by Jetta Cement will make it the second bargain plant and the 12th plant in the industry, as well as provide consumers with additional choice of cement on the Ghanaian market. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
AM Business put together by Charles Aite. Well, some good news there for the building industry.
Oh, hello there again. Welcome to AM Talk, the segment where we discuss issues confronting our nation. My guest seated, Mr. Sam George is Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram. He's a member of the Communications Committee of Parliament. Hello there, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Also on the show this morning is Mr. Collins Adumaku-Mensah, is Member of Parliament for Efija Kwabre, member of the Finance Committee and I think the Health Committee as well. Good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning.
I just want to just briefly start with the issue of whether or not there's some kind of pressure mounting on members of Parliament. Mr. Sam George, I saw your posts. And just a little reminder, we're going to put that post on the screen where you, on this name and shame issue, where you said asking an MP to get roads fixed for real. The name and shame campaign must be backed by basic knowledge. My job is to lobby, but you have a minister for roads and highways. If you have any bile, spit it at him, for that is his job. You know, when this issue came up, people were reminding us that MPs also did make promises on the campaign trail. And I guess that's why people are coming hard at you.
A very good morning to you, Mama VM, to my colleague and our viewers. I mean, for me, I will say it as it is. And I keep saying that you can't use one big brush stroke to brush or paint everyone. I held my own on Twitter, and anyone who's followed that thread will realize that a large chunk of the people who came at me later came back and said, look, dude knows this game. Because I will hold my own against anyone. It is not the job of an MP to fix roads.
But is that what you tell the people?
Well, not Sam George. And I've said, and someone said to me, a number of people came and said, oh, but you campaigned on it. And I have challenged and dared everybody in this country that anybody who can show a video clip or a recording of me, Sam George, at a campaign rally, promising to fix a road, I'll resign from Parliament. Because, listen, my campaign team was bitter, has been bitter at me until now they've come to accept it. Because when we go to communities where there are problems with the roads in my constituency and they put it before me, I am clear to them. I say to them, it is not my job to fix the road. It is the job of government. You pay taxes to government. There is a minister of roads who gets an appropriation to fix the roads. I as MP don't get it. What I will promise you as your MP if you vote for me is that I will put pressure on that minister, I would lobby him, and I would put enough pressure to get him to do his job. However, he doesn't answer to me. That has always been my response. And my campaign team at times says, but Honorable, just tell them you'll fix the road. And I say, I won't. Because tomorrow it will come back to bite me. What I don't have control over, I won't promise. I've said to them, when the road gets fixed, give me credit for lobbying for the road to get fixed. But give credit to government for fixing the road. And so, and people said I should show evidence of my lobbying on this trade. And I did.
And I did. How do we know you're lobbying?
The minister was appointed sometime in April of 2017. In June 2017, less than 3 months into office, I had put sufficient pressure for the minister to come and inspect the roads in my constituency. I'm an opposition MP. But in less than 3 months, how many even MPP sitting MPs have gotten the Minister of Roads to come to their constituency to look at the roads? I have written several letters. 5 times in 4 years, I have gotten the minister to come and answer questions in Parliament. And I put out the videos and all of that on the floor. And people say 5 times in 4 years. I say, well, because you don't understand the parliamentary processes. When you file a question, it can take 6 months before the speaker would admit your question. And when he admits your question, it can take another 6 months before the business committee will table it. So there are MPs who have filed questions, and when you file a question at the beginning of the year, and that calendar year ends, and your question is not taken, it is scrapped. You have to start afresh. So for me to have gotten the minister 5 times on roads in 4 years in my constituency tells you the work I'm doing. Look, let's call a spade a spade. And I said to people, anybody who goes to vote for an MP, because he comes to stand in front of you and promises you that he will fix roads, you've allowed yourself to be fooled. Because that MP does not have the capacity to fix the roads. The best he can do is you are going to ask, oh, you know Pafai, oh, you know B, you are who patch yourself be the minister does not respond to you as an MP. The minister, and there is no MP, be you government MP or opposition MP, who at the beginning of a year, they give you, go and build roads. This is the money for you. They say common fund. How much is the common fund? He is a first-time MP. Ask him if he's even seen his first quarter common fund, because we've not even had the formula done.
So let me ask him if he also feels that same kind of pressure.
Well, let me say good morning to you and my senior brother. And this is my first time on your set. And so thank you for inviting me. It's true. I mean, we get some pressures from our constituents.
But did you promise your people you'll fix roads?
I didn't say that. However, I did tell them that. But fortunately for me, in my particular constituency, I mean, we have 2 major roads. One is being fixed, almost done, and the other has already been given on contract.
So you could safely campaign
on
that?
So you could safely tell them that, yes, I'm going to ensure that the contractor comes on site and all that. But I did not tell people that, yes, when I come, I have the resources on my own to construct roads. No, I didn't say that. But see, you can't blame them. The truth is that there are a lot of us members of parliament who campaign on such issues. And so when they get there and then it's bounced back to them, now the reaction then is, oh, no, I didn't promise, I can't, I'm not the one who builds the roads. But that's what you told them. So I don't blame them for doing that. It's because of the way over the years, you know, we've been campaigning and the kind of things we've been saying on the campaign platform.
Okay.
Again, this brings to fore education. I think we have to continuously educate our constituents to let them know exactly what our roles are as members of parliament.
Okay, but would that get you the votes?
That's another issue. But I think if you continuously explain, Sam is here. He says he told them that he would not build the road, but he won the election. And I'm sure it was the way he communicated his points to them. And I'm sure if you develop that skill, No matter what you tell them, once you have a good plan and a good strategy, you should be able to.
Can I jump in on that point? Look, the Ghanaian electorates value and cherish honesty. Let's not underestimate the value of honesty on the campaign trail. And on that thread, one of my constituents who lives in Deftraco came on and said to people, look, as for this guy, I can vouch for him. He never campaigned with that. People voted for me because they realized I was telling them the truth. I increased not my total votes, my margin of victory from 10,000 votes to 30,000 votes in opposition. I didn't fix roads. But people saw the effort I did, and they saw that I told them the truth. Any MP or candidate who comes to stand in front of you and promises you that he will fix roads, or that he will build you a hospital, a whole district hospital, doesn't respect you, is a criminal and has no integrity and has no business being called an honorable member of parliament.
But are you saying that they can't try and get the resource not from themselves, but you guys try to get investment into your constituency?
I'll give you a typical example. Afenya-Dowenya Road, which is one of the major roads in my constituency people are complaining about. That road is on contract. A contractor was put on that road in 2015. So once a contract is issued and the ministry has not terminated it, are you aware that by law you can't even go onto that road and start even doing any work? Because now it is the property, it is the site of a contractor. So even when you want to go on that road to do anything, the ministry stops you and tells you there is a contractor on site. You've been lobbying to get that contractor to be given mobilization or money to come and continue the work. Because the contractor started the work, it stalled, they said there was an audit, the audit is completed, give him money to come back, it's become an issue. So at the end of the day, how do you go and get investment? And you are talking about a road that is most likely maybe 15, 20 million Ghana cedis contract. Which MP is going to get 20 million Ghana cedis from who? Which NGO? There's no NGO that fixes roads. There are NGOs that can help you with maybe a borehole. Some may even help you build a school. Yeah. Some may help you build a chips compound. Depending on the focus of that NGO. Some will come and help you do skills training. I have not seen any NGO in the world that will give you 20 million Ghana cedis to go and fix a road. In my constituency, and I use my constituency because, and I want people work from my constituency. The road from Dawa all the way through Lekpouno to Mangochonya was given on contract in 2015 as well. The same, when I was campaigning, they said to me, Honorable, this road is not good. I said, look, a contractor has been put on the road. That was in 2016, my first term. A contractor has been put on this road by John Mahama. If we win, I will make sure he completes it. Whoever wins the election, I will make sure they complete it. John Mahama did not win the election. But I went to the minister. That road was stalled the whole of 2017. I went back to the minister. It was one of the roads the minister came to tour. There were 5 roads. That road, the New Jerusalem to Apollonia Road, the Dowenya Afienya Road, the Old Ningo to Chopoli Road, and then Old Ningo to Ahiam Road. 5 roads. As we speak, the minister, with the effort of, with the kind of lobbying and pressure I've put and questions I've asked them, they've completed the Jerusalem to Apollonia Road. That's why nobody is giving you credit. Nobody is saying anything about it. They've completed the Dawa to Mangochonya. That one too, they say don't say anything about it. MP hasn't done anything. The minister has not yet given mobilization for the other 3, for the contractor to come back on site. I am told by the contractor that he's been asked to come back to the Afenya-Dowenya Road this month. But again, I'm waiting to see him on site. But the bottom line is people will not look at that one and say that, oh, you've tried to lobby for this one. They only remember the ones that haven't been fixed. But my point is, it is not my job. And I will not promise anybody. I told them on Twitter, I'm too woke to make such cheap promises. Okay,
but this kind of pressure is certainly good and healthy because it would also, it means that the people are checking and they are listening to everything that you say. And if we find a video or an audio of you making a certain promise,
you can hold the person
accountable.
Certainly.
So we'll
but
be watching you.
You see, Mama V, the most important thing for me going forward, and I like the pressure. The pressure should rather be, we should focus the pressure into the right channels. So you want to hold Collins or Sam George responsible. Hold me responsible for my work in legislation on the floor of the House. What is my contribution at the committee level? What is my contribution in terms of even my ancillary role as a development agent, which is to lobby? Because I don't have... So I must be able to show evidence that I am actually making an effort to lobby and draw the attention of government to the developmental needs. But my principal role of legislation as well, what check have you done on that? Then you must hold the DCE. Everybody talks about common fund. The common fund,
A large chunk of that common fund sits with the DC. Even the MP's common fund is not given to the MP.
Yeah, we don't sign
the
for
MP doesn't sign for it. It is given to the DCE or the MCE. The MP has to apply to the MCE, and the MCE or DCE approves it at his pleasure. So people don't know all of this. It's important that we then hold the DCs and MCs responsible, because they are, you see, someone said to me, but you are the representative of government for the constituency. I said, no, I am not. The DCE or the MCE is government representative in the district. I am your representative in parliament. Then let us also hold the ministers responsible. There's a minister of roads. There's a minister of finance. The Minister of Finance comes to Parliament with an appropriations for the Ministry of Roads and tells us, I will give the Minister of Roads 2 billion Ghana cedis to construct roads in 2021. Let us hold the Minister of Finance responsible and say, make sure that, Kenoforiata, make sure you have given Kwesi Amwakwata, all actors. Kenoforiata has given Kwesi Amwakwata the 2 billion. Kwesi Amwakwata, can we see what you have done with that 2 billion? That is the only way we hold people responsible. So but you come and hold Sam George responsible for 2 billion spending when I'm not the receiving officer or the spending officer. How do you hold me responsible?
Just a final say, I'll give it to you. Can MPs call out ministers of state responsible for carrying out certain activities if they're not doing it?
I think there are processes within our parliamentary rules to check ministers. And as Sam George said, you can, through questions, urgent questions, you can bring the minister to Parliament and ask questions, as they say, that what have you done with this appropriation that was allocated to you? That can be done. But the process isn't just coming out, and you have to be a little bit diplomatic about it.
You become diplomatic when it is your government that is in power. So obviously you can't do that. But when you are in opposition, I guess I guess it becomes much easier.
Well, sometimes I do pick a phone and call some ministers. Some of them are colleagues, and to find out what is happening on this particular project. There's nothing wrong. I'm sure Sam George does the same. As he said, he's been going to the road minister to find out the... Yes.
Yeah, but the people will say that, how does your asking questions on the floor, bringing the minister to the floor to answer the questions, solve or resolve their problems on the ground? You know,
but it does put pressure on him.
With
because
the Fix the Country campaign now, the people are not asking for the talk and the promises. They want something more substantive.
Well, when you ask a question, the minister comes and gives you details as to what he's been able to do to an extent. And so that in its way, it's a way of checking or putting pressure on the minister. Of course, when it comes to Parliament, it's a house of records. So whatever he's saying or answering to your question, he must be very careful what he says. He can't lie on the floor of Parliament. So I think it's a way of putting pressure on the ministers to really execute their mandate.
Okay, all right. So we'll leave this matter here and also talk about another matter that popped up yesterday unexpectedly, and this is an account from City FM that I will be sharing with you. So police officers on Tuesday arrested Caleb Kuda, a broadcast journalist with City FM and City TV. According to the police, he was arrested for filming at the premises of the National Security Ministry, a restricted security zone. About 7 heavily armed officers subsequently stormed the premises of City FM in an attempt to arrest Zoe Abubedu, another broadcast journalist with a respected media house, whom they claimed had received files from Caleb Kuda. In an attempt to arrest Zoe after tagging her as Caleb Kuda's accomplice, the heavily armed officers besieged the premises of City FM in 3 different vehicles. While at the premises, the officers tried to overpower Zoe, who at the time was standing at the company's car park. Zoe subsequently bolted and reported the issue to her superiors after sensing danger because some of the officers tried to capture her. The incident shocked the staff, who came out in their numbers to catch a glimpse of it. Management of City FM, headed by their chief executive, who was present at the time of the incident, intervened and together with Zoe and other managers followed the officers to the National Security Ministries. They returned with Zoe while Caleb Kuda was interrogated for a while longer before his release later. So this is an account as given by City FM of what happened in their premises yesterday when one of their journalists went to the offices of, or one of the national security officers, and allegedly took a photograph at a designated security zone and what happened afterwards. I'm sure you two gentlemen heard about this. And this is also very surprising because there's an incident with some national security operatives who they carry themselves as national security operatives, but it turned out they were not, and they are in courts battling the issues out. And then this happens just yesterday. I was saying this morning, especially when we claim, I mean, we say it with all the pride in us that this is a country where we practice rule of law. So you are lawmakers. What is the rule of law in what happened yesterday?
Well, very untidy. I mean, I just have to be blunt about it. I mean, if you know Zoe, and she's not my friend, but I've seen her, you don't even need 2 police personnel to arrest her or to invite her. I mean, the whole process of getting 7 or 8 fully armed policemen to come to the station to very, very untidy. I mean, yesterday I listened to the general manager of Bedeviling on Metro TV. He says that when they went to the national security premises, the director, I've forgotten the name, Muzu also, apologized to them that he did not intend to have this kind of drama at the site. But my dear, sometimes journalists also have to be circumspect in the way they do their work. I mean, nobody can prevent you from doing your work. But when you go to a national security outfit and there are signages all over the place that you cannot take photographs, you cannot film. I mean, you don't take, as it were, the law into your own hands and to be filming at a national security area. I go to the national security office sometimes. When you get there, even your phones are taken from you, you know. So I'm sure with hindsight, the journalists probably would have acted differently. But of course, the processes leading to the arrest of Zoe and all that, I think that was very, very untidy.
Okay. So is that what should happen to a journalist if they did the wrong thing? Granted, you know, that you did the wrong thing.
Well, according to what do you call it, the general manager, Caleb was arrested at the premises because he was there. He was arrested at the premises, and then upon interrogation, they realized that he had forwarded the video to another colleague, in this case Zoe, who was then at City FM's premises. I'm told Caleb was handcuffed at the time he was brought.
Do you find anything wrong with a person being arrested on the spot, his phone searched, and the realization that he had forwarded pictures or some messages to a colleague? Is there something wrong with that whole? And again, I'm coming back to the rule of law and your lawmakers, because there are processes. We've even said that if a police person is arresting you, they have to read to you your right. They have to, and if you have to search my phone, you need a warrant. You know, you need permission from the court to do certain things. So I'm just, you know,
well, I'm
trying to figure out if we all either find something wrong or if there was something fundamentally wrong with how
I've made it very clear that the whole process, I've made it clear here.
Because it sounds to
me that the process was a little bit untidy. I've said so, that the process was a little bit untidy. But as I said, I mean, you can't go to the Burma camp and begin to film, even the American embassy. Ordinarily, you don't see journalists just going there taking pictures just because there are signages there telling you that, hey, this place is a security area, you cannot do your normal thing. Of course, as I said, the processes leading to the arrest, handcuff, and moving 7 vehicles to the premises of CTFM really, really is untidy. And I think they could have done it in another way. I mean, they could have just called any of the management of City, because I'm told when Caleb was arrested, one of the policemen called one of the gentlemen from City. So they were aware that he had been arrested and been interrogated, you know. So they could have done that in a very nice and tidy way. But of course, we also must be very clear that you cannot, as it were, go to a national security area and begin to film and take pictures just like that. Okay. That I have to make it clear.
Before I bring Mr. George in, I want us to listen to the general manager of City FM, Bedeviling, as he spoke on Good Evening Ghana on Metro TV yesterday.
I was having lunch, funny enough, with Samens, and we had Zoe. We were sitting in the refectory eating, and then we. About what time was this? 3:15, 3:20, and then we sensed. So Zoe had gone out to pick a call, and we sensed some pandemonium outside, and then we saw Zoe running back in, and then we running. Yes, she was. I will show you the video if you should. Yeah. She wasn't walking. She was in a state of panic. She says, they want to arrest me, and I'm saying I have to speak to my boss first. So I got up and I noticed that there was about 6 policemen or 7 with guns.
Where?
So CTFM and CCTV is 2 adjacent buildings. So the alley between the 2 places.
That's where the police were.
Yes, and they had come into the building from the car park, walked probably about 100 meters
to the TV side.
Yes, almost behind the station where we eat. We have a refectory there, and they were led by a plainclothes person. So when Zoe came to where I was with some men, and then I stood up and asked the gentleman in plainclothes what the matter was, because some of the staff and other people had come to sort of, what is going on here? Why are you chasing the lady? So it was quite a disconcerting scene. Television.
Head of television.
Yes.
Okay. So he told you that Caleb had been arrested.
He says yes, Caleb has been detained at national security.
For what?
And he's trying to get all the details.
Okay.
So then this incident happens, and then the pieces are falling together. Okay. So we asked what their mission was after we calmed them down, and they say they have come for Zoe because her phone has possession of some video that Caleb took. Now, I didn't even know where Caleb was because I hadn't sent him on any assignment, so it was a bit confusing. We said, well, we would have to come with her ourselves because they had guns, and it was a bit scary because they drove in a very rash way, parked the cars in a very interesting way, jumped out of the car, walked in. Funny enough, when they came, Zoe was on the phone. I don't know how they knew her. Later on, we found out that Caleb was in one of the pickups.
Oh, Caleb was in there.
So what happened was they had brought him
to city
to identify, and he was in handcuffs.
Oh, I see.
So this was, and so we are now seeing, so Caleb is in their vehicle as well, because initially he was in the vehicle.
But you couldn't talk to him?
We did talk to him, but so we said, look, if you want Zoe, then you have to take all of us with her. So Samens drives his car with me, Richard Mensah, and Anna Seidu, our security correspondent, with Zoe in the car.
In Samens's car?
Yes, and we say, you go, we'll come.
So you drove behind them, or?
Well, they left. We know where they were, so we went ourselves.
Okay, so they left and they were expecting you to come.
In fact, when they got to one of the junctions, they waited so that we sort of followed them in there. And then we go in there, and first we met Azugu.
Well, the famous one?
Yes. So then he says he had authorized them to come to bring Zoe. And then he complained about what Caleb was doing on their premises.
What did he say Caleb was doing?
He says he was filming some cars at the car park of the National Security Establishment. So there are 2 buildings. The ministry and then another building which is not labeled. This is Blue Gate area.
Yeah.
So there were some cars in a shed that he was filming and running commentary on his phone. I think he was recording it and saying something.
Oh, he was saying some things.
Yes.
But what was Caleb doing at National Security? Your statement said he went to visit somebody.
So we later found out that he had gone there to do, we didn't send him there, to be honest. He wasn't on an assignment. So I think he had gone to film some vehicles which had been abandoned. So
that's the purpose for which he went there?
Yes.
Okay.
Which we found out after we spoke to him when we got there.
Okay.
So the vehicles were under some shed. So this is at the other side of the car park, and he was filming the vehicles and sort of talking about cars having been left there or something. So they said they found out that he had unlawfully filmed those things and sent the video to Zoe
on his. Okay, so they took Caleb's phone.
Yes.
And then they found out that the videos had been sent to Zoe.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is how come they came with him to come and pick up Zoe in that Rambo style. So we spoke to, and we also said,
how was Caleb filming? Was he filming secretly? Was he standing somewhere? Was he
from our understanding, it wasn't secret because he was, I think they all knew what he was doing, or I don't know, but from what they said they saw him doing it. So, and if you look at how open the place is, I don't know.
So they saw him doing, then they arrested him.
Because you see, I haven't seen the video of Caleb in the act.
Okay.
What I have seen is what he filmed, which essentially are cars in a shed. So I don't know the manner in which he did it, but from what we were told, he was in an open place so they could see him. But that place is supposed to be, according to them, as a restricted security zone. So he wasn't hiding his camera. I do not think he was. I think he was holding the phone, because I haven't seen the film, but I've seen what he filmed. So it was very brief.
All right. So they arrested him.
Yes.
Most likely then took him inside.
Yes.
And asked him, what are you filming for? Something like that.
Yes.
Then they found out that he had sent it to Zoe.
Yes.
So then let's go and pick Zoe.
which is shocking, because if Caleb identifies himself as a journalist from City FM and you want Zoe to talk to her, you can call anybody.
How did City FM first know Caleb was in the possession of national security? Who told him?
Richard Mensah told me.
Who told him?
He had been called by Azugu.
All right, so that's the accounts by Bernard Avle, General Manager of City FM. He spoke to Paul Admotri. Okay, let me come to you, Sam George.
I'll raise 4 issues. 4 issues. First one, the backstory to why Caleb Kuda was there or was not there in itself is a matter for a different discussion. But the first issue I'll raise is that so long as Caleb was in a security zone so designated and taking footage when it is prohibited in that zone in itself was poor judgment on his part. First point I'll make. Poor judgment on his part. Yes, a journalist is driven by wanting to get the story and get the scoop. There's several ways to get your story, get your scoop. He should have found a different way. So that's the first point. Second point, this whole concept of you cannot record in a security zone must be looked at again. Because, you see, we tout ourselves as being in a democracy. 29 years of practicing a democracy. All of this are relics of how President Rawlings survived 19 years as a military or 11 years as a military ruler. And these are vestiges of a military dictatorship where they say you can't record. People go to the Pentagon and stand in front of the building and stand in the courtyard of the Pentagon, which is the heart of US intelligence, and take videos. There are sections of the premises that are designated out of reach. People go to the White House, stand in front of the White House, take pictures and videos. It is not a crime. There are portions of the White House where you can't even gain access to because those are designated security zones. Why me, as a citizen of Ghana, can go to the US and go and stand in front of the White House and take a picture or a video and it's not seen as a crime? But if I dare go and stand in front of the Jubilee House at Christ the King and take a video, I'll be arrested, makes no sense to me. And we must begin to question these things. People say you can't enter Burma camp and take a video. Why? Why? Why then does the military do the open day and invite people into the military barracks and allow people to take videos and pictures? You see, we must begin to move. If we say we have moved from military rule to civilian democracy, we must shed off all of these vestiges. I agree. If the guy was taking a video at a car park of national security. Inside. Yes, inside the car park, at the car park. What is so what risk to national security does that pose? That's the question we should ask ourselves. If he entered into a building, the building itself, and maybe some installations within the building, in that premises.
But he was inside the building.
He was recording at the car park.
No, he was
inside the premises. Inside. No, not he was not recording inside national security buildings. He was on the premises. And you know that place. You see, if for example, he had entered into the National Emergency Operations Center, the building adjacent to the new Ministry of National Security building, and was taking recordings in there, I will be jittery, because that is an emergency operations center. That is at the heart of national security operations. So taking a picture or video of that place, for me, would be a huge security breach. But the car park, what, is it the number plates? Or is it the cars there? That for me is the second issue. The third issue I will raise. I have seen Caleb Kuda. I know Caleb Kuda. I know Zoe Abubedu. Strangely, both of them, their waist is like my thigh. One thigh. They are fianga people. If you've arrested Caleb or detained him at national security, and you are bringing him to his station to identify the individual who he sent a message to, first and foremost, why have you handcuffed him? It's simply because Caleb Kuda they wanted him. Over this fixed Ghana demo, he had blasted police well, so he was a wanted man. So to humiliate him.
How do you know he was a wanted man?
But you didn't see the video of the policeman.
I saw the video.
There was a video of a policeman who wanted to take his phone on that day. So already they were looking for him. And then, so you handcuff him, put a fear of man in him, and come and embarrass him and parade him like a criminal. because what, he took a video. Now, if you wanted Zoe to come, couldn't you have just picked the phone call and made a call to the management and said, we are calling from national security. Please, we need you to bring Zoe to help us with an ongoing investigation. Then let City FM say, we will not bring her. Then you go to court, rule of law. You go to court and get a warrant to secure her arrest. And then the fourth issue I would raise has to do with the modus, the operations of so-called national security operatives. I have watched the CCTV footage in full. You need to see the gun etiquette of the officers. And anybody who's got weapons training will understand what I'm talking about. The gun etiquette of the 7 to 8 officers who were there was poor, extremely poor. Any of those weapons could have discharged themselves at any time. You see, there's a way when you are in a crowded civilian space, you hold or handle a weapon. But this whole attempt, you are going to pick Zoe Abubedu, and then you are holding a gun. Then, God forbid, NDC comes to power, and we decide we want to go and pick Henry Kote. Better we'll take armor tank, because we are going to use, if for Zoe Abubedu, you are using seven armed policemen. Then the day you are going to pick Henry Kote, that one you will take armor tank and Apache helicopter. You get it? It makes no sense. But you see, the last thing I'll say, and this one kill him. Oh now here. Ni Azugu kefemi oh mommy. When Azugu do this to me, is Azugu still supposed to be at national security? What did the Presidential Commission report say about Azugu? Why is Azugu still in position in this country and ordering such activities? You see, when first they came for the Jews, you didn't speak because you were not a Jew. Then they came for the Muslims. You didn't speak. They came for the Catholics. You didn't speak. Today they've come for you. Who speak for you? When it was Sam George.
In this matter.
Oh, Sam George. You are the one who likes it. Azugu has Azugu'd you again.
Okay. So in this matter, when it was Sam George, we all spoke up. We did speak when it was Sam George. But can I ask you two gentlemen, because you are in Parliament, what kind of regulation does national security operate with?
There's a new, we have the Security and Intelligence Agencies Act. It's a new one that was, I think we completed it just before the elections, sometime in November 2020, where we redesignated the agencies. That's when BNI was redesignated as NIB. The BNC was designated as Signals Bureau, and a few other agencies. So there is the Securities and Intelligence Agencies Act. I can't remember the number, but it's a 2020 law that reviewed the original 1996 legislation and has given the scope of work of every agency. So all of these agencies now sit under the National Security Council. So there's a council and then there's the minister and the coordinator sits atop that council. But then there are several agencies under the council where you have the NIB, you have the Signals Bureau, you've got research department, I mean a number of them.
So I'm just trying to figure out if their operations in terms of when they are arresting a citizen is different from what the police would do.
Maybe I will not sit here and claim to know a lot about what happens.
But you should know a lot more than us. And if there is, because
my only worry is that there has been too many reports of such incidents going on, and that's my only worry. I think the ministry itself has to maybe sit down and try and...
Is it the ministry, I mean, is it in their interests or parliaments?
My brother just explained the structure, and of course, everything goes, with the ministry. You know, we've just heard of people, fake national security operatives being arrested on Galamsey sites. Just this morning, I was hearing a group of people in Kumasi have stormed. They wanted to go and take away the security coordinator in Kumasi. I think these things, there are too many reports about. If you know the minister himself, and then George knows him, I mean, he's very calm, you know.
But it doesn't reflect in their operations.
Yes,
so we don't appreciate that calmness.
That's why I'm saying that they have to have a deeper look into some of these things going on.
So who must do that? I'm sorry if I am not so optimistic, because I saw a commission of inquiry, and I saw them do their work, expose, you know, all the things that are so wrong with their operations. And I see that we're still in that same system. Nothing has changed. So I'm wondering who will bring the change.
You know, if I can jump in here,
one thing that came out from the Presidential Commission on IRSO West Woburn is the fact that the National Security Council is not allowed or mandated by law to have a standing army or a standing force, armed force. Do you understand me? And so anytime national security wants to carry out an operation, they rely on one of their agencies. And that's why in the new legislation we did, the BNI at first, not the BNI and the BNC, which is now Signals Bureau, did not use to carry weapons. We have given them the power to carry weapons, because when the BNI is going to effect a certain arrest, when they go plain hands, at times some of the kinds of arrests they do, they need weapons. But previously, and even as it sits now, what you would expect is that they would rely on the Ghana Police Service or any of the armed forces who are all under the council to effect this arrest. However, let's ask ourselves, and that's the fundamental question, must the arrest of a citizen or someone suspected to be an accomplice to an offense or a crime being committed, in the case of Zoe Abu Bedu in this time, what I'm still trying to wrap my head around is whether you can just effect that arrest, especially when it is not such a major crime, it's a misdemeanor more or less, without a court warrant, without an arrest warrant. You ask the question, you arrest me, and then you start going through my phone. You are breaching my privacy. Because I remember very well, and the reason I'm raising the phone issue is when we passed the cybersecurity law, also around the same time with the security and agencies thing in November, October 2020, one of the key things national security wanted when we were passing that, drafting the legislation, was the ability for them to do interception for 48 hours before going to court. And we said, no, we won't allow it. It's the reason why the MPP kicked against the interception of postal packet bills the NDC tried to do in 2015. We said, whatever the case is, go to a judge. And we said there are judges on call. We use the American system, FISA, where you can go to a judge in church. You can go to a judge at 3 a.m., wake him up. So long as it poses a security risk, the judge will grant you the warrant, because you need to protect the rights of the citizens in the execution of security operations. So my point is, you've arrested me. I'm doing something wrong. So confiscate my phone. But to go into my phone, secure the requisite warrants, and make sure that, because today, if we want to enforce the data protection rights of Caleb Kuda, is national security going to be able to show us the chain of custody of his phone to ensure that nobody took out information from his phone that was not related to what they were investigating? Do you understand me? So these are all issues that we take for granted in this part of the world. But if we want to say we are embracing best practices, officers, and you see, he talks about Wafa Kandapa. Me, again, someone I call Wafa. He's an uncle to me, he's like a father to me. And he himself attested to it when he came for his vetting and he was asked about me. But you see, the point here is, it is one thing the minister having a certain persona. It's another thing the operatives who work in the outfit and the kind of mindset and operations they have. In this town, everybody who carries a Gota phone, those big phones, where they get them, national security operatives, you must be a ghost. People must not know you or see you. But in this town, even when the person is walking in town, he's carrying a Gota and holding a gun and walking like a Robocop. I mean, what kind of thinking do we have?
I have a concern as we try to wrap up the conversation. You know, when the early first week January storming in Parliament, we witnessed it, but we didn't see you become so angry as parliamentarians that you took a certain action. And so when this is happening to us as citizens, because you didn't stand up for yourselves, I wonder if you would do anything for us and if anything would change going forward.
Oh, I'm not sure we didn't stand up for ourselves.
Did you?
George has been very, very, very vociferous on that issue. And of course, I mean, on several occasions in Parliament, I mean, during the vetting and all that, questions have been put to the relevant ministers.
But again, how do the questions resolve the issues?
George, you have to remind me of this. I think before we rose, I think there was a what do you call
motion
it? A motion
for a parliamentary inquiry
into that. So yes, Parliament has taken a very serious stand on what happened on the 9th of 7th of the morning of 7th of January. Parliament took a very, very serious stand about that. I mean, I was in Parliament that day, and when I saw them, I told the colleague that soldiers on the floor, it's not tidy. So yes, it's not entirely the case. The Parliament has not been firm on some of these issues. We have, and it has been demonstrated during vettings and motions being filed in Parliament, seeking a parliamentary inquiry into the whole issue. So yes, Parliament has been very, very serious about it.
I don't know if you answered my question, but maybe Mr. George can finish it.
We have been serious about it. You should rest assured.
The problem of security in this country, and again, I'm going to be brutally frank, is us politicians. And I'm scared where the future of this country is going. Because we've got some of the finest security operatives in this country. But politicians over the years, and this is not an MPP problem, it is not an NDC problem, it is across the aisle, all parties, we've done this. It may be worse in one than the other, but we are all guilty of it. And there's no small sin or big sin. The politicization of our security apparatus is what the problem is. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Colonel Punamani, that's the head of presidential security, the colonel who led, Joseph Punamani, who led the soldiers onto the floor of Parliament, you think that he, on his own, would have just walked into Parliament? You think he, on his own, would have just entered the floor of Parliament with armed soldiers? He's a trained soldier. He's a colonel of the Ghana Armed Forces. He won't do it. It is simply because some politician somewhere gave him an order, and that is why, even though we want to do an investigation into it, we may not really go far with it. We will do the shadow boxing, but the real substance of the issue is that that officer did not command his men in there on his own accord. If he did, it will be akin to treason. Because getting into the floor of Parliament with armed soldiers is akin to overthrowing Parliament. You understand me? But he did it on the orders of somebody. Look, these officers again who went there, they did that, we are here being told, on the orders of Azugu.
Azugu, yes.
Did Azugu check it up with the chain of command? If he didn't, is anybody going to reprimand him? Anybody, and in this case, political authority.
Based on your previous experience, please draw your
please, it won't happen. It won't happen. It won't happen. And you see, that's the point. And you see, when you embolden people, when Azugu misbehaved as the officer on the ground in Ayaso West Wogon, because it was Sam George and his MPP in power, forget about it. Tomorrow, when the NDC comes to power, then you will have a certain expectation of the NDC base that, but they did it to you, so also go and do it to Collins.
No, don't come to
you get it. And so you realize that we are getting into an arena where it is becoming normalized for us as politicians to use the might of national security to threaten and we are supposed to be protecting the citizenry. But now, what we rather want to do is put the fear of man. Now you, Mamavi, as a journalist, after you've seen what they did to Zoe, and you got more body than Zoe. So when they are coming for you to be 12, the next time you are going to talk or say anything, there is something at the back of your mind that is ringing in your head. This is not acceptable in a democracy.
So how do we end this?
Politicians, we need to call a spade. We need to come to that place and say, look, enough of this. If I'm not happy with Collins and I'm in government, I shouldn't use the might of states to show him where power lies. I should use the rule of law. If today he is in government and he thinks that I've done something wrong, he should not say that because his OB, he will pick a phone and then they will call and then they dispatch 3 soldiers to come and slap me. No.
Well,
until politicians learn, and you see, sadly, this is what ACP Agojo spoke about, and he's being punished. I rest my case.
You know, I don't know if we need a consultative forum, but once it is politicians at the center of this, I wonder who will call the forum. But this is where we are. Some people are not so optimistic that, you know, this trend will change. But thank you, gentlemen. I think it's been a very fruitful conversation, lots of education. So thank you so much. You guys are going back to Parliament when?
25th.
25th.
Okay. 25th is supposed to be a holiday. AU Day.
So maybe we move to 26.
But originally it was supposed to come on.
I think we were on the 18th,
and then it was
the
changed.
AU Day, is it now a holiday or commemorative day?
You should tell me. You're in Parliament.
These people, they confuse us. They're reading them right now. I don't know which one is a holiday, which one is a commemorative day. Hey, I do show boy.
Well, stay with us. Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you. Oh, you want to say something?
Nana was Ado.
I didn't say Nana. I said Ado show boy.
Well, stay with us. You're still watching the AM show. Well, thank you for staying with us here on the AM show. We're crossing over to Studio 997, the Super Morning Show on Joy FM. Is hosting CEO of SES, Steve Collar. It's a conversation on satellite technology, out of this world or closer to home. Let's join that conversation now.
3 billion, which was connecting those that were not connected to the internet. So one half of our business is about broadcast, and the other half of our business is about providing connectivity over satellites, connecting with mobile operators, connecting cell towers, delivering the internet to people who are not well connected. And I think we all agree that having a connection is probably among the most important things. Once you've figured out food and shelter, having connectivity allows you to get educated, run a business, sort out health for yourself, and make a difference to your own personal circumstances. And so those two things are big passions for me, and that's why I've never left the industry.
That must mean that Africa is of particular importance to your organization.
Yeah, I think that's right. It's also an incredibly exciting place, right? Africa is a very young population. There's a lot of opportunity in Africa. It's also true that, in my experience at least, what you might find here in Ghana is very different to what you might find in Angola, very different to what you might find in Ethiopia or Kenya or South Africa. So, it's again, that aspect of really working locally and being part of the sort of the local culture is very important. I think too many companies make the mistake of just thinking about Africa as one place, but it's a lot more than that.
What would you say SES's plan is for Africa? I mean, you're here in Ghana for 3 days. It must be part of some grand scheme, right?
Well, I think I hope we're not so proud as to think we have a grand scheme for Africa. I think from our perspective, it's about using the tools that we have, using the fantastic assets that we have to make a difference here, and whether that be through broadcast, like here, our main business here in Ghana is broadcast, although we do also support businesses that serve ATM machines. So another application, something else that you don't even think about as being satellite being involved. If satellite wasn't there, ATM machines wouldn't be interconnected. It'd be very difficult for people to get money. And so I think mobile operators, there's lots and lots of different walks of life that we're involved. But yeah, the main focus here in Ghana is really around broadcast. I would say Africa more generally, it's how can we use these fantastic assets that we have to make a difference.
Yeah. And what have been your observations of the broadcast industry in Ghana since you've been here?
I think one of the things that characterizes it more than any other place is the amount of local content, local broadcasters, fantastic capabilities, actually. I visited a number of studios yesterday, already set up with high definition and ultra high definition cameras. So a lot of the production is now happening at high definition, ultra high definition, but a lot of local content, much more so than, and I think if I, in my relatively short stay here, what I've seen is, and what's talking to people, it's that great desire for local content.
If you just joined us, we're talking to Steve Collar. He's the CEO of SES, and this is a very important company in your life, even if you don't realize it. 2/3 of Ghanaian households are served by SES because they pipe content to your television. So that's just one of the many things they do. Steve Collar has been in Ghana for 3 days now, and he's tried jollof, so we can give him an honorary passport whenever we're ready. Steve, one of the things that unites us all is our choice of content, the things that we choose to consume. And already we've discovered that you and Winston are big lovers of football. Right. Supporters of two of the biggest English Premier League teams. Winston, of course, we're tired of hearing that he supports Manchester United. You are a Liverpool fan, right?
That's the most successful club in England.
Well,
let's have this could get ugly.
It could.
Get ugly quickly.
No, I mean,
It could. Let me just say, Swansea City has beaten each and every one of your teams at some point in history, even if it was 30 years ago. but you love football, and it unites people in a very special way. Here in Ghana, I mean, football fans are mad about it. Yeah. And the viewing experience is something that really creates memories for Ghanaians. How does SES pipe into that very human need?
So for me, and so you're exactly right. I'm mad about football and love football and have done, from a very early age. And again, that's something that I've learned being here in Ghana is that's very shared. And I really love shared experience. Any experience, when you're sharing it with others, is made so much more valuable. That's why I want to be at Anfield. I want to be part of, Liverpool and that sort of shared success. And if I can't be there, what I want to be doing is watching it on TV with the very highest quality, with my friends around me. I want to be texting, other people about what's going on and really living that experience. So the shared experience part of sport, I think, is one of the most important things. And again, that's why I'm passionate about what we do. That's why I'm passionate about HD Plus here in Ghana and launching that high quality. The Liverpool-Man United rivalry is something that's got more and more over the last sort of 10, 15 years. We were the most successful, Man United the most successful. Liverpool have had a strong revival, I would say, if we accept this season. And obviously sitting here on the morning that Man City wins the league is probably an uncomfortable experience for both of us.
Well, it is. But the good news is that we get to play against Liverpool tomorrow night.
That's true.
A victory for Man United denies Liverpool a chance in the Champions League.
Well, it'll only be good news for one of you.
That's right.
Yeah, but I want to see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see that happen. As much as I am sad Man City has won the league, it excites me also that Liverpool didn't get any close to it. That would have been 2020.
Why are you excited by somebody's... Anyway.
This is football. This is Liverpool Man United.
This is Liverpool Man United. He understands.
It's just the way it is. But no, look, it's been a strange season in the Premier League. It's been, and again, it shows the value of broadcasters, because it's made a small part of everyone's lives a bit better to be able to watch sport. It's been a distraction from everything that we've had to deal with over the last year, and so I'm great. Even Liverpool haven't had a great season. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to still be able to watch sport. Notwithstanding the fact it's not been a great season for Jurgen Klopp and his boys, it's something that I'm grateful for.
Talking about football, one other thing also is that the Euros are happening in 30 days, and SES playing a major role in that, particularly in Ghana.
Yes.
Yeah, can I tell you, I'm super excited about that. We with Multi-TV and KNet, we are going to be the platform that broadcasts the highest quality signals for the Euros. And amazingly, and this is a little bit of an exclusive with you, we are going to be the first company that broadcasts ultra high definition, to my knowledge, across Africa.
Wow.
And so Ghana will be the first country in Africa to see ultra high definition, the Euros carried in ultra high definition for the semi-final and final.
Now this is a big deal. It's a big deal. Look, I don't know how many of you have realized, but almost every TV set you buy gives you specific settings for watching football. Because there's something about watching the game. There's something about that movement and the colors that really, if you're not getting the very best quality of it, you're losing something.
I completely agree. You watch the two side by side, and you watch a standard definition feed and a high definition feed. The difference in the experience, the difference in sound quality, you get much more of that feeling of really being in the stadium and being there and hearing the crowd. And in ultra high definition, it takes it to another level. You can see almost the blades of grass, and it just makes such a difference in your experience. And so, Ghanaians can go and buy a simple box, high definition HD Plus box. But, So within the next few weeks, what we'll start to see is new TV sets, Samsung TV sets with HD Plus actually built into the TV set. So you don't even need a decoder. You just go to Electroland, buy yourself a Samsung TV,
and you've got
plug it in, and instantly HD Plus is available. You have this beautiful environment, a pop-up environment, and you can watch the Euros not only in high definition, but for the semi-final and final in ultra-high definition.
This is wonderful. Now, I mean, I've been looking forward to the opportunity to explain to people how this whole HD Plus thing works. I'm glad you're here, Steve. Why don't you walk us through it? I mean, this box, what does it do to your TV to make the picture so much better?
So it's actually a very complicated, because you have to make sure that you're recording all of the broadcast material in high definition or in ultra high definition. So it's about the cameras that are being used, it's about the studios that are being used. So right the way from content production to the way we then handle that content, we transport it to the satellite. It takes a more bandwidth on the satellite to transport high definition and ultra high definition. And then you have to have a decoder and a TV that's capable of high definition or ultra high definition. Now the good news is here in Ghana, about 50% of TVs are now HD ready, so they're able to receive high definition signals. That doesn't necessarily mean that they are high definition, so it's really important for viewers to understand, do they have a TV that's HD ready, or are they actually receiving high definition? And HD Plus is a guarantee that the channels that will be watched are in high definition.
So Steve, for the viewer who's asking himself, so if I compare standard definition to high definition, and maybe ultra high definition, what will be the difference if I'm watching it?
Yeah. So again, for me, the best answer to that is the experience that you're going to have in high definition is completely different. And what everyone says is when you move from an iPhone generation 1 to 4 to 7 to 10, you're never going to go back to 1 again. And if you try and explain the difference between an iPhone 10 and an iPhone 1 or 11, whatever, the latest generation, it feels old. It feels old-fashioned, it feels clunky, and it's exactly the same if you watch high definition and you get used to the quality, you get used to the experience, you get used to the sound, you get used to the whole high definition environment, and then you try and step back to standard definition. It looks kind of grainy, it looks blurry, you almost have to adjust your glasses to see, am I seeing this picture clearly? And again, it's the same when you go into ultra high definition. Now, I think ultra high definition won't be the standard. I think here in Ghana, and in Europe and everywhere, high definition will be the standard. It'll be the medium that everything's broadcast in, and then ultra high definition will be used for the programs that are really showing the mixture of colors and so on. So if you're watching a program about life on Earth, or if you're watching, really those sorts of, or indeed sport, for me, those are the two things where high definition just comes into its own, because again, the sound goes up another level of quality, the pictures go up another level of quality, and you really, and the larger the TV is, if you go if you use high definition on a 30-inch screen, probably doesn't make much difference. But if you've got a 55, a 75, a 80-inch screen, the sorts of screens that I talked about, that we're installing HD Plus directly into the Samsung TV sets, that is going to make a huge difference to your experience.
And look, images are about information. Sometimes even if you're not consuming it consciously, the fact that there is so much more information enhances the experience of what you're watching, whether it's a movie or sports or wildlife or whatever it is. So I mean, I've got to say, the HD Plus box is kind of what you deserve if you love what you're viewing.
Yeah.
So if you're viewing something that you're passionate about, then you deserve to see it in the absolute best quality. I'm so glad that HD Plus is now available here in Ghana. Now, speaking of Ghana, Steve, what's your vision for the market here?
I think Ghana has an amazing opportunity. I think if I look at the infrastructure here, if I look at the kind of the literacy and education here, if I the opportunity is in the center of Africa is tremendous. And I think if we look, we have a plan, because we're launching satellites for 15, 20 years, we have to think about our business in sort of 15, 20 years, and what do we think our business is going to look like there. And I think Ghana, if I look across Africa from the outside in, I think Ghana is unique there's the competitive tension a little bit between Ghana and Nigeria, which which it almost feels a bit like Liverpool Man United. But I feel like all of the fundamentals are here. It's good, well connected. Important, like I say, important infrastructure, very good for business, right? So again, our partnership with KNET is a fabulous example of what can happen. We've been working with KNET for 10 years, building this platform. It's not overnight, as I say, that 4 million households kind of point to one orbital location. And that's only possible because Ghana's very open, it's very welcoming, it's very good for business. And I think that will set Ghana in great stead as we look out for the next 15, 20 years.
Did you just tune in? If you did, then we're talking to Steve Collar. He's the CEO of SES. This is a company that provides you with a service every day, even if you didn't realize it. They, of course, have been connecting content producers with content consumers using their network of satellites orbiting the planet. Of course, we've already talked about how important Africa is to SES in terms of your global strategy. But what would you say the Ghanaian market needs? I mean, in your observations, not just for the 3 days you've been here, but all the time you've been operating in Ghana, what do you think is that one need that SES can tap into?
I think it's sort of continuing on the track, right? It's I think leveraging the infrastructure. We have good working relationships with the mobile operators here, with the telcos here. I think that's vital, right? As we make sure that we connect not only Accra but all parts of Ghana, that we're connecting, that what we talk about satellite as having a superpower, and that superpower is reach, right? So we can touch the edge of the network in the same way as we can the middle of the network. And that's really, and for a telco, for a terrestrial provider, it's really hard. It's really hard to get to, in any country, to the edge of the network, to the outside edge of the network. And that's something that we can help with, right? We can touch the edge of the network as effectively, use that superpower of reach to touch everyone in Ghana. And I think that's important. I think the government here has sort of been pretty thoughtful in making sure that there are ICT programs, schools are connected, the internet is available everywhere. There's still work to do there, a lot of work to do there. But I think if I look, compare Ghana to other countries that I visit and spend time in and that we serve, I think Ghana is well advanced in that area. So I think it's pushing ahead with that. It's really seeing that 15, 20-year vision for the country and sort of putting in place infrastructure connectivity programs, because once you give everyone the tools to run their own business, to go make a difference to themselves, it's amazing how that generates economic development, it generates GDP. There are sort of very well-known statistics now that link directly internet connectivity and internet access to GDP growth, right? So it's like building roads, and it's sort of fundamental infrastructure, and once you do, you generate economic growth. So for me, it's about making sure that the country stays nailed on that idea of connecting people, having everybody online, encouraging business, keeping that kind of business-friendly environment, and I think Ghana's future is bright.
Now, it occurs to me that if indeed the plan is to help connect more and more families and households across Africa, then there are some examples of tech companies that have chosen Ghana to be their hub and their center from which they're reaching out to the rest of the continent. So Google and Twitter and all these companies have chosen to have offices here in Ghana for that purpose. Is SES thinking along those lines?
So we already do, right? We already have, I would say, in terms of our footprint in Africa, our footprint and our base here in Ghana is as large as it is anywhere else. Again, that reflects this successful partnership that we have with KNET. I don't think it would have been possible without that. And so for us, at least, it was important to have that long-standing relationship. But yeah, I think it goes back to Ghana being a really business-friendly place. I think it's, it's not overly bureaucratic. It's not difficult to establish operations here. So we have, a nice facility. We also partner at a teleport. So satellite in order to access satellites, you've got to have kind of a gateway and a teleport. So at McCarthy Hill, we've got this nice facility together with KNET that we use for local broadcasters can now access our satellites by using this gateway. And so, we've based ourselves here as well. And I think it's all because this business-friendly environment.
Is it expensive to operate in Ghana compared to other parts of the world?
I wouldn't say so. I think there are always, there are sort of particular, in any country there are particular aspects that you have to take care of and be conscious of. But no, I think it's not expensive. And again, it's one of the things, it's very open. The rules are clear as well. As a businessman, the one thing that you want is clarity. You want to know what the rules are, right? You want to know what the regulatory environment is. And again, Ghana's very clear from that standpoint, and that's tremendously helpful because you know what you have to do.
Steve Collar is, getting us all excited about the HD Plus box, but also having a bit of giving us a bit of an insight into the future of satellite technology as it pertains to Ghana and Africa. SCS, of course, are already providing content for 2/3 of Ghanaian households when it comes to television content. Steve, what's next?
Yeah, look, I mean, for us, I think it's making TV even more interactive, right? And so as we move forward, broadcast remains the most important. And so there's only one way to get 4.5 million people connected to the same signal and the same feed, and that's satellite. But obviously, everyone also wants interactivity. They want to be able to use content on demand. They want to be able to interact with other people. And so increasing that immersive experience, that shared experience, is something that we're really super focused on. Building that quality, making sure that everybody gets to watch the content in the very highest quality is an important part of what we're about. And then, sort of combining our broadcast capability with satellite-based connectivity, all of that, bringing them together is an important part of what we're doing. So you'll be able to watch the same shows that you do on your TV set on your mobile. That's also, having options to be able to watch everywhere you are, on the go, in the house, shared with the family. All these things will be coming in the very near future from an SES standpoint.
I absolutely can't wait. So if there was that one message you'd like people to walk away from this with, that one thing you want them to remember about, hearing from you today, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'd say is it's a hugely exciting time, and it's a great time to be as the world recovers from COVID. I'm very optimistic about what we're going to see over the next sort of 12, 18 months. I think having been all constrained in this environment, I think the world is really ready to sort of drive forward, and that's exciting. I think high definition is the only way to view TV, and I think Ghana is a market that's absolutely ready for HD and HD Plus, the feely experience really being part of the immersive experience of broadcast. And so if there's one message I can leave, it's probably don't watch the Euros in any other way. If you want to see, I don't know whether it'll be Germany or Italy or the Netherlands or England even that prevails, but you shouldn't miss the final, and you shouldn't miss the final in ultra high definition. And the only way to see it is on HD Plus.
HD Plus, honestly, the feely experience awaits you. So you know what to do. Just go to Electroland, or in fact, just give us a call.
One of the local distributors just outside. I visited a number of them yesterday. It's super exciting. Just look for the feely banner, and you can acquire yourself a well-priced set-top box and watch HD Plus.
Trust me, you deserve it. Steve, I'm so glad we did this. I'm so excited that you made the time to stop by and tell us all about SCS and HD Plus.
Thank you, Gaji. Thank you.
Welcome back on the AM show, and it's NSMQ time. It's time for the schools to slug it out, and we go up north as those in the 5 regions of the Northern Belt actually lock horns to find out which schools are going to qualify for the national championship. Manuel Kranteng is standing by to bring us all the details about what exactly has been happening. Manuel, if you can hear me, do let us know what has been happening, what is the ambience, and what can we look forward to today?
It's been a lot of excitement in the past week and a half. But what's in store is even more excitement, and it's because after the regional championship, there's what we call the Northern Zonal tournament, which is going to start this morning. Now, 20 schools from the 5 regions in the north, I'm talking about Northeast, Upper West, Northern and Savannah, are going to lock horns to decide who really is the landlord of the northern part of the country. And it's a lot of excitement that is in store for us, and I am of course upbeat about it and cannot wait. But the man with all the juice and all the details of the contests that are going to go down in the next 3 days is Stephen Yankee. He's program coordinator for NSMQ Northern Zone. Grateful, Stephen. Very good morning. Thank you for speaking to us.
Very good morning to you too, Manuel.
You look tired.
Well, it's been tiring producing the qualifiers in the Upper West region, Upper East, and already we've done 2 days here in the Northern region where we had schools coming from the Northeast, Savannah, and the Northern region itself. And today we are here to start the maiden edition of the Northern Zonal Championship, sponsored by Absa Bank Ghana. I think it's a great feeling that the championships have come up to the Northern Zone for the first time.
But last year, it was in a plan to have the Northern Zonal Championship. That didn't happen. What happened?
Yes, last year when Absa Bank supported us, partnered the Ghana Education Service with regard to the production of the quiz, there was a plan that we were going to organize these championships across the country. However, COVID-19 came, and that is what derailed all our plans. For Ashanti region, for instance, we had even set up, it was just a day to the production, and then the directive by the president came. So we had to dismantle the set, return to Accra, and re-strategize it. That's what even gave birth to organizing the prelims at the regional level, as we saw this year. So this year we are certainly excited that the schools in the Upper West, Upper East, the Northern, Northeast, and Savannah get to experience the championship. And because the schools from these regions are relatively few, we thought it wise to organize a zonal championship so that all these 20 schools will come together and compete among themselves, so that will bring out the true champion of the entire Northern Zone.
I'm excited about that, and I can't wait to see that go down. But before we talk about the specifics of the Northern Zonal tournament, yesterday EP Saboba qualified to the national tournament with 10 points. And I know some other schools have exited the tournament with 34 points, with 40 points, and so on and so forth. Tell me, how is it that somebody with 10 points, or a school with 10 points anyways, is able to make it to the national tournament?
Well, this is a competition. The point is that you have to win your contest to qualify for the national championship. The National Science and Maths Quiz in its current format ensures that once you win your contest, you qualify. So EP Saboba, yes, it's true that they qualify with 10 points. Indeed, they beat other schools to qualify with 10 points. And not only EP Saboba, Bumpurugu Senior High School, they also qualify with 13 points. They also beat other schools to qualify. At the national championship, if these schools qualifying with 10 and 13 get to be in the same contest with others coming with 67, 65, I'm sure we will see how it will go. However, a win is a win. They are coming to the national championship. They're excited about it. First time they are qualifying, and I think they've done well since they beat other schools. It's not the kind of score we were expecting, but they won fairly.
They won fairly, but what is your thinking about a proposition that says that run something a semblance of a table, so that we get the best of the best, properly speaking, to go represent the region? Because if a school is scoring as much as 40 points and exiting in a region that you don't have so many schools, and a school that scores 10 points is going to represent the region, are really sending the best of the best from the region to them?
Well, we at Primetime have thought through all of these. There's been times where we even thought about the cash prize that we offer to the participating schools, the qualifying schools, that if you don't qualify up to a certain number of points, we don't get a prize. But the key stakeholders when it comes to National Science and Maths Quiz are the teachers and the contestants. To a large extent, we discuss all the ideas with them, and what they want and what they like is what we usually like to churn out for them. The agreement was that, well, a win is a win. Somebody wins with 65, somebody wins with 20, somebody may win with 13. It's a first time for their school They qualified, they competed through 4 rounds, they beat other schools. Yes, the standards are very low. But I think it also goes to encourage other schools that they can also do well. We hope that a time will come where we can only get schools that are qualifying with, say, 40 points at the nationals. But until then, I think that they still deserve some credit, even for their 10 and 30.
Well, now let's talk specifics now. You know, we know 20 schools are competing. Which schools are these?
Well, so 20 schools are competing in the championship. We have 5 schools coming from the Upper West region. We have St. Francis Xavier Junior Seminary, St. Francis Girls from Jirapa is here, Jirapa Senior High School is here, Canton Senior High, and WA Senior High. These are the 5 schools coming from the Upper West region. From the Upper East region, we have 6 schools. First is the Navrongo Senior High School, which is the seeded school from that region. They qualified to the quarterfinals last year, so they actually did not take part in the regional qualifiers. But joining them, we have Notre Dame Seminary Senior High School, we have Bolgatanga Senior High School, Zebula Senior High Technical is there, Bongo Senior High School is there, and Sandema Senior High Technical also in there. Then from the Northern region, we have the Cedar School here, Northern School of Business. Joining them, we have Kalpohi Senior High, Tamale Islamic Senior High is there. Your favorite, Saboba EP Senior High School also in there. We have Tamale Senior High School, Business Senior High School, Ghana Senior High School. And then Bumpurugu is coming from the Northeast region and Damango from the Savannah region. So these are the 20 schools competing in the championship.
So this is really not just a competition among schools. There's also a competition among the regions for who gets to lead the charge in terms of the 5 regions. I mean, from the scores that we've seen in the past week and a half, which region looks most promising?
Well, I think from where I sit and looking at the data, I think all the regions have done well. The contest in Upper West went very well. Francis Xavier stood out. Even some of the schools that scored relatively lower points, they did well in their contests. The contests were very balanced. Canton Senior High did very well. St. Francis Girls did very well from Upper West. From Upper East, Notre Dame did well. Bolgatanga did well. Even Sandemai, although they did not win their contest, the very first stage of their qualifier, they did very well over there. We've seen wonderful performances from Kalpohi Senior High, Business Senior High, Tamale SHS. So I think that it's going to be a really exciting championship here. And it's difficult to even predict which region is going to come up tops in this contest. Yesterday, I heard some teachers saying that the winner is going to come from either the Upper West or the Upper East. It remains to be seen what will happen. We'll get to know when we close the championship tomorrow.
Well, based on my experience in 3 northern regions, the northern region, Upper West and Upper East, I like the winner to come from Upper West region. That's my own bias, by the way. Let's hand over back to the folks in the studio, my favorite pair, Mama V and Benjamin Akapu. So this is what it looks like in the northern region, specifically Tamale. A lot of excitement in a box waiting to be unboxed. But for now, that's all we have for you. Over back to you.
Well, Mado Kranting, thank you very much.